The woman at the front desk looked at her screen a third time, then at me with the careful expression people use when the bad news is somehow your fault. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Mercer. I don't have anything under that name." "Try Ruth," I said. "Maybe my son forgot I've been a Mrs. since 1981. She smiled because I did, though neither of us found it funny. Behind her, rain silvered the lodge windows. My car sat beneath the stone portico with its hazards blinking, 6 hours of highway grit on the doors, and Adam's wedding supplies packed to the roof. "Mercer, Ruth," she said as she typed. Nothing. Could it be under the bride's name? Before I could answer, Adam came striding across the lobby with his phone pressed to his ear. He wore new jeans, wet loafers, and the expression of a man being personally betrayed by weather. He ended his call and said, "Mom, what are you doing here, trying to check in?" He stared at the clerk, then at me. "Your room was never booked." He said it like I had misunderstood a dinner reservation, not driven 6 hours believing I had a bed waiting for me. For a moment, I could hear only the soft lodge music and my own windshield wipers dragging across dry glass outside. "You told me it was handled," I said. "It is handled." The clerk's hands went still above the keyboard. Adam lowered his voice. "You're staying at the farmhouse." "What farmhouse?" That was when I knew he had not forgotten my reservation. He had forgotten to tell me I didn't have one. The front doors opened behind me, letting in a wet gust and 3 women carrying garment bags. They called Adam's name with enough panic to postpone our conversation. One of them was Claire's cousin Paige, whom I had met twice and who had already sent me 4 emails about table runners. "The steamers aren't in the bridal suite," Paige said. "They're in the ballroom closet," Adam told her. "No, there are boxes in the ballroom closet. Those are welcome bags. They're blocking the steamers." Adam shut his eyes briefly, then turned to me with a look that asked me to become useful. The look was so familiar, I almost obeyed it. "Where is this farmhouse?" I asked. "Can we step over here?" "No," I said, though quietly. "I've been sitting since Virginia. I'm fine right here. We were in North Carolina, but my back had started complaining in Virginia and had not respected state lines." Adam glanced at the clerk, who found something fascinating beneath her monitor. "It's about 35 minutes away. Claire's college friends rented it. There's plenty of room. Do they know I'm staying there?" "Of course." He answered too quickly. "And when can I check in?" His jaw shifted. Frank used to do the same thing when he was deciding whether a small lie could be repaired with a larger one. "Tomorrow afternoon." I looked through the doors at the rain. It was Thursday. The rehearsal was Friday, the wedding Saturday, and my son had just announced that my accommodation began a day after I did. So where am I sleeping tonight? We'll figure it out. The words might have comforted me if he had not used them for 3 months to mean I should stop asking. In February, when the invitations arrived, I had called him because the card inside listed the Hawthorne Lodge with a room code, but no confirmation number. Adam had said, "Don't worry, Mom, you're not in the regular block." In April, I asked whether I needed to leave a credit card. He said Claire's mother was managing the rooms. 2 weeks ago, when I printed my directions, I texted him again. He responded with a thumbs up and "all handled." Apparently, I had mistaken punctuation for lodging. Paige shifted the garment bags from one arm to the other. "Adam, Claire is asking where you are. I'll be there in 1 minute." "You said that 10 minutes ago." "Paige, I'm just the messenger." He waited until she walked away before turning back to me. There were some changes. What changes? The room situation got tight. The room situation was always tight. That's why I asked in February. Claire's dad decided to bring Susan. His wife? Yes, Mom, his wife. I know who Susan is. I didn't know marriage made her an unexpected guest. This isn't helping. I looked at him. He looked tired. Not ordinary tired, but wedding tired. Stretched between too many people who believed their stress was the central event. There was a faint line between his eyebrows I had first noticed after Frank's funeral. For one disloyal second, I wanted to smooth it with my thumb. Then I remembered I had nowhere to sleep. Who has the room I was supposed to have? You were never assigned a room. Why not? Because we knew you could stay at the farmhouse. We? He glanced toward the grand staircase. Halfway up, Claire stood with one hand on the banister. She was wearing black leggings, an oversized white blouse, and no shoes. Even from across the lobby, I could see that her face was blotchy. She lifted her hand to me, but Adam shook his head at her once, almost invisibly. "Stay there," the gesture said. "I've got this." Claire hesitated, then went back upstairs. That hurt in a different place. I had liked Claire from the beginning, though liking her required stamina. She spoke quickly, apologized beautifully, and could turn choosing a salad dressing into a municipal hearing. The first time she came to my house, she brought tulips and rearranged my refrigerator while helping me put away groceries. I had stood beside her holding a jar of pickles, both charmed and offended. Adam loved her energy. "She gets things done," he told me. So did I, but apparently in a less decorative way. He rubbed the back of his neck. "Claire thinks you prefer being away from all this. Claire thinks that because you've said crowds wear you out. At the airport, on Thanksgiving weekend, you told her you don't like being fussed over. I don't. I do like indoor plumbing and a door that locks. The farmhouse has indoor plumbing, starting tomorrow." The desk clerk made a small choking sound that might have been a cough. Adam leaned closer. "Mom, please, everybody's under pressure. Claire's parents can barely be in the same building, much less on the same floor. Her mother threatened to leave when she found out Susan's room was bigger. We have people changing their plans every 6 minutes, and you're the one person I thought would be easy." There it was. Not loved, not wanted, easy. I looked down at my hands. My nails were still marked with blue chalk from hemming the table runners Paige had just complained were blocking something. I had sewn 14 of them at my dining room table because the rental company's shade of blue was too aquatic, according to Claire's mother. How many beds are at this farmhouse? I don't know, 6? And how many people? Mom! How many? 8, maybe 9. They're not all staying every night. Which bed is mine? He took out his phone, tapped twice, and scrolled through a thread. His face changed just enough. What? There's a pull-out downstairs. In a bedroom. It's sort of a den with a door. I haven't seen the floor plan. Of course he had not seen the floor plan. He had seen me. He knew I could sleep anywhere, if necessary. He had watched me doze sitting upright beside Frank's hospital bed, my chin tucked to my chest, one hand resting on the blanket because Frank woke frightened when he could not feel me there. Adam knew I could eat crackers for dinner, carry my own suitcase, drive in rain, and forgive almost anything by breakfast. Useful knowledge is dangerous in the hands of people who love you. A bellman appeared beside the luggage cart. "Ma'am, would you like me to bring these in?" On the cart were 2 plastic bins of welcome bags, a box of battery-operated candles, the folded runners, my overnight case, my suitcase, and my dress zipped into a navy garment bag. Across the top lay the old cedar box containing Frank's cufflinks. Adam reached for one of the bins. "No," I said. He paused. "No what? Not yet. We need the welcome bags upstairs. I need to know where I'm going. We can unload first." No. It was a small word. I had used it often in my life to telemarketers, second helpings, shoes that pinched. With Adam, it came out rusty. The bellman stepped back. Adam stared at me. "Are you seriously holding the welcome bags hostage?" "They're welcome bags, Adam. They don't have feelings. They can wait in the car while I make a phone call." "To who?" "A hotel. There's nothing nearby. We blocked everything months ago." "Yes," I said. "I've heard there was a system." He looked toward the staircase again. "Could you please not make this into a whole thing?" I laughed once, though there was no humor in it. "I'm trying to make it into a room." He flinched. I was glad, then ashamed I was glad. Rain rattled against the windows harder. The lodge was beautiful in the way expensive places often are. Large stone fireplace, leather chairs no one looked comfortable sitting in, bowls of green apples polished to a shine. Someone had placed framed photographs of Adam and Claire on a table near the ballroom doors. In one, they stood at the edge of the ocean, their foreheads touching. In another, Adam was laughing with his mouth open, the way he had laughed before he learned to check whether everyone else approved. On the drive down, I had imagined coming through those doors and having him hug me. I had imagined him saying, "Thank God Mom's here." The embarrassing part was not that he hadn't said it. The embarrassing part was how badly I had wanted him to. My phone rang inside my purse. Marlene. I silenced it. My sister had told me to demand a confirmation number. She had used the word demand because Marlene believed politeness was a vitamin deficiency. Adam saw the name on the screen. Please don't call Aunt Marlene. I didn't. She'll turn this into a federal case. She thinks you're charming. She thinks raccoons are charming. She still puts locks on the garbage cans. Despite myself, I smiled. Adam smiled back, relieved, and for 1 second the old machinery started up between us. He made me laugh. I rescued him, and whatever hurt me became an anecdote we could tell later. Then he said, "Great. So let's get this stuff upstairs and I'll call around." The smile left my face. No. His relief vanished. "I'm going to find a place for tonight," I said. "Then I'm going to take my things there. You can't just disappear. We have the rehearsal walkthrough at 5, and the runners still need. The runners are finished. They have to be placed. Then place them." He lowered his voice until it was almost a whisper. "What is wrong with you?" That question, more than anything else, steadied me. I picked up the cedar box from the cart and tucked it under my arm. "Nothing," I said. "That seems to be the problem." I thanked the clerk, asked the bellman to return everything to my car, and walked back through the sliding doors into the rain. Adam followed me as far as the portico. "Mom." I kept going. "Mom, the cufflinks." I turned. Water was already darkening the shoulders of my cardigan. He stood under the stone arch, dry and furious, with his wedding happening all around him. "I know," I said, holding his father's box against my chest. "Those are handled." I sat behind the wheel with the cedar box on my lap and watched the bellman arrange my life back inside the car. He loaded the wedding supplies first, then my suitcase, overnight case, and dress. He handled the garment bag as carefully as if there were a person inside it. Adam remained beneath the portico, answering a call while keeping his eyes on me. When the bellman closed the rear hatch, I tipped him $5 and instantly wondered whether I was about to need that $5. "Thank you, Mrs. Mercer," he said. "My pleasure." It wasn't, but that wasn't his fault. I set the cedar box on the passenger seat and locked the doors. Adam approached my window, so I lowered it 2 inches. "Where are you going?" "To find a hotel. I told you I'd call around. You also told me my accommodations were handled." "Okay." He glanced toward the lobby, checking who could see us. "I deserve that." He sounded reasonable now. Adam could become reasonable the moment he sensed an audience. It was one of his least attractive talents, and I had helped him develop it by rewarding every calm version of an apology. "Please come inside," he said. "We'll figure something out. I'm not standing in a lobby while you decide which stranger's couch your mother has earned. That's not fair. The pullout is in a den. It's a nice farmhouse. You haven't seen the floor plan." A horn sounded behind me. The vehicle waiting to pull under the portico was a black SUV decorated with white ribbon. Adam stepped away from my window. "Just don't go home." The request was naked enough to stop me. I had been considering exactly that. 6 hours back, the garment bag returned to its hook in my spare room closet. Frank's cufflinks returned to the cedar box in my dresser. I could send Adam a message on Saturday morning and say I loved him. I could turn off my phone until Sunday. "I'm not going home," I said. His shoulders lowered. "I'm going somewhere with a bed." I raised the window before he could answer. The lodge disappeared behind pine trees as I followed the road down the mountain. My phone vibrated in the cup holder 3 times. I let it. Rainwater streamed across the windshield so heavily that the navigation map looked underwater. The woman giving directions kept insisting I make a U-turn on a road with a cliff on one side and a wooden guardrail on the other. I'm not doing that, I told her. She recalculated without taking it personally. I admired her. At the first safe turnout, I parked beside a scenic overlook offering an excellent view of fog. The missed calls were from Adam, followed by 2 messages. Please answer. I'm checking options. A third arrived while I was reading. We need the boxes by 4. Not are you all right? Not be careful in the rain. The boxes had a deadline. I opened the list of nearby hotels. The first 4 had no vacancy. The 5th had 1 king suite for $820 a night, which I assumed included a personal butler and a minor organ. The 6th put me on hold while a recorded voice praised their locally sourced soap. I called 11 places. At the 9th, a man laughed when I asked about a room, then apologized for laughing. Wedding weekend, he said. And there's a dental conference. Those dentists know how to party. They book early. So I'm learning. At the 11th, a woman named Denise told me the Green Lantern Motor Inn had 1 room left because a pipe had leaked in the room above it. Is the pipe still leaking? They fixed it yesterday. Does the ceiling remain above the bed? As of 20 minutes ago. I'll take it. The Green Lantern was 52 minutes from the lodge, just beyond a highway interchange crowded with fast food signs. The total for 3 nights, including taxes and something called an event surcharge, was $946. I asked Denise to repeat it even though I had heard her perfectly. There's a college alumni weekend too, she explained. Are they dentists? Some of them could be. I gave her my card number. That money had been sitting in a separate savings account since January. Marlene and I planned to drive to Savannah in the spring, eat things with too much butter, and stay at a hotel where nobody's wedding could evict us. I had put away a little each month. Marlene had already mailed me a brochure with every ghost tour circled. The reservation email arrived. I stared at the confirmation number until the letters blurred, then forwarded it to myself twice. My phone rang again. Marlene did not say hello. Why are you rejecting my calls during a family emergency? I was driving. What family emergency? You said it was one. No, I asked why you were rejecting my calls during one. There's always a family emergency around a wedding. What happened? There are times when hearing a familiar voice is like somebody loosening a tight jar. I nearly cried, which annoyed me enough not to. They don't have a room for me. Who doesn't? The lodge. Then Adam booked you somewhere else. He thought I could sleep on a pullout with Claire's college friends. There was a silence. Then Marlene said, I want you to understand that I am choosing my next sentence with exceptional care. I appreciate that. Where is he? At the lodge. How far away am I? 8 hours and I'm not giving you the address. I have the invitation. You'd have to stop for gas. I have a full tank. I laughed, and the laugh broke in the middle. I pressed my fingers against my eyes. Oh, Ruth, she said, softer. I found a motel. It's fine. How much? Don't ask. How much? When I told her, she made a sound that would have embarrassed a truck driver. I'll send you half. No, don't be stubborn. I have the money. You have Savannah money. I know where the money came from, so come home. We'll watch the ceremony if somebody posts it. I'm not missing Adam's wedding. He appears to be missing his mother. I watched rain gather along the edge of the overlook and pour from the rocks in tiny waterfalls. I'm not giving him that excuse. What excuse? That I overreacted. That I ruined his wedding because I didn't like the bed. Would you prefer he say you stayed and accepted it? There it was. Marlene's gift for removing every comfortable answer. I don't know what I prefer. Good. You don't have to decide your whole life before dinner. A car pulled into the turnout beside me. An older couple got out wearing matching yellow ponchos. They walked to the railing, saw nothing but fog, took a photograph anyway, and kissed. My throat tightened. I took Frank's cufflinks, I said. Good, they're Adam's. Also true. He asked for them, and I drove away holding the box like a lunatic. You're allowed to give them to him when he acts like somebody Frank would have trusted with them. That's a terrible thing to say. Is it inaccurate? Yes. I picked at a loose thread on my sleeve. Frank adored him. Frank adored you too. I let that sit between us. Marlene sighed. Check into your motel, eat something. Call me when you can tell me the room number, and if you don't call by 7, I'm finding the number for the mountain police. There are no mountain police. I'll establish them. We hung up after I promised to call. At 3:58, Adam sent another message. Mom, the boxes. I had not forgotten them. That irritated me more. I called the lodge and asked for the bell desk. This is Caleb, the bellman said. Caleb, you helped me with my things about an hour ago. Yes, ma'am. Could you meet me beside the parking area when I return? I have boxes that belong to the wedding. Absolutely. I won't be checking in. He paused for only half a second. Understood. The green lantern looked less green than beige, except for its sign, which featured a lantern glowing radioactive lime. Denise was a broad-shouldered woman with silver hair braided down her back. She slid the registration form toward me and tapped the no smoking clause. If you smoke, don't do it in the room. I don't. If your guests smoke, don't let them. My guests don't know where I am. She looked at my dress hanging over my arm. Wedding? My son's. Her eyes moved from the dress to my suitcase to my face. She did not ask why the mother of the groom was staying 52 minutes from the venue. This raised my opinion of her considerably. Room 118 had a brown quilt, 2 lamps that worked, and a ceiling with a pale circular stain above the television. I tested the lock, the shower, and the mattress. Then I hung my dress on the bathroom door because the closet smelled faintly of fried onions. I placed Frank's cedar box in the top drawer of the dresser. For 40 years, that box had lived among his socks. He kept cufflinks he rarely wore, a tie clip from his father, old foreign coins, and the tiny brass key to a suitcase we threw away in 1997. After he died, I could not empty it. Adam had opened it one Christmas, touched the silver cufflinks, and said, Dad should be at the wedding. At the time, he and Claire weren't even engaged. I had said, he will be. I closed the drawer harder than necessary. Before leaving, I changed my damp cardigan, swallowed 2 pain relievers, and called Marlene with the room number. She made me read the deadbolt situation aloud. Caleb was waiting beneath an umbrella when I returned to the lodge. I opened the hatch, and he unloaded the welcome bags, candles, and runners onto a cart. Is that everything for the wedding? He asked. Yes. My overnight case, suitcase, and dress were at the motel. The cedar box was in the dresser drawer. I repeated their locations to myself like a person checking burners before leaving home. Caleb wheeled the cart inside. I remained by my car. Through the lobby windows, I could see people moving around the ballroom. Paige was draping one of my runners across a table. Adam stood with a clipboard while Claire gestured toward the ceiling. They looked busy. They looked like people who had a place there. My phone rang. Claire. I almost let it go, then answered. Ruth? Her voice was shaky. Where are you? At my hotel? Your hotel? Yes. There was a pause filled with distant voices. Adam told me you went home. I looked through the glass at my son. No, I said. Adam tells people whatever makes the next 5 minutes easier. Claire went quiet. Beyond the glass, Adam turned toward the parking lot as if he could feel me looking at him. Someone handed him a spool of ribbon. He took it without noticing what it was. What does that mean? Claire asked. It means he told you I went home because that was easier than telling you I found my own room. I thought you were at the farmhouse. The farmhouse isn't available tonight. Another pause. I didn't know that, she said. Neither did I. I thought Paige gave you the information. I've received quite a lot of information from Paige. Most of it concerns the emotional needs of fabric. Under different circumstances, Claire would have laughed. I heard her almost do it. Instead, she said, Adam told me you wanted to be somewhere quieter. He told me I had a room here. No, he said you didn't want to stay at the lodge because of all the commotion. He said you'd be more comfortable with the girls. The girls are grown women I've met twice. I know they're grown women. It's just what we call that group. And the pullout? What pullout? I closed my eyes. Claire's voice sharpened. Ruth, what pullout? Apparently there's a den. I thought there was a guest room. So did Adam, in the sense that he thought there was probably something with a cushion. A ballroom door opened. Music escaped into the lobby, followed by Paige, who carried 2 of my blue runners as if transporting injured birds. She spotted me through the window and hurried outside. Ruth, she said, breathless. Thank God. These are the wrong length. I covered the phone. No, they aren't. They're hanging 6 inches too low. They're 90-inch tables. The runners are 108 inches. That leaves 9 inches on each end. Paige held one up. Rain blew against it. These look longer, because you're holding it sideways. She stared at the runner, then rotated it. Oh, please take that inside before it becomes more aquatic. She blinked, and I saw the moment she remembered the email. Right. She retreated through the doors. On the phone, Claire exhaled. I'm so sorry. It was sincere. It was also too quick. For which part? What? Are you sorry I don't have a room, that you didn't know, or that I'm upset? I'm sorry this happened. The passive construction hung there between us like bad wallpaper. Claire, it didn't happen. Adam made a choice. I know, I'm trying to understand why. So am I. Inside, Adam noticed Paige pointing toward me. He handed the ribbon to someone else and started for the lobby doors. I need to go, I said. Wait, please come inside. I've been driving all day. We can fix this. I've paid for a room. I'll reimburse you. The offer struck harder than it should have. $946 mattered to me, but the thought of Claire transferring money into my account like a refund for damaged merchandise made my skin prickle. No. Ruth, that's not fair. If you had to pay because of our mistake, Adam's mistake, our wedding, my bill. Adam came through the sliding doors, saw the phone against my ear, and stopped. Claire said, at least let me speak to the lodge. Maybe there's something they can do. There isn't, I asked. Then I'll call the farmhouse. For tonight? No, but maybe we can get you a proper room there. That still leaves me 35 minutes away because everybody decided I would be agreeable. I didn't decide that. You didn't check. The words came out colder than I intended. Adam was walking toward me now. Claire's voice changed. You're right. I didn't. That answer left me with nothing easy to push against. I should have, she said. I believed him because it was convenient to believe him. Adam reached my car. I turned away from him. I'm tired, I told her. Of course. Will you be at breakfast tomorrow? I had the printed itinerary in my glove compartment. Friday breakfast at 9, rehearsal at 4:30, dinner at 6. Under Thursday's schedule, my name appeared beside Welcome Table Assembly, but nowhere beside the 5 o'clock walkthrough Adam had accused me of abandoning. Yes, I said. I'm invited to breakfast. You're invited to everything. No, I'm assigned to several things. That's different. She was silent again. I'll see you tomorrow, I said, and ended the call. Adam stopped beside me. Why are you talking to Claire about this right now? She called me. You could have told her we'd work it out. We didn't work it out, I did. Now she's upstairs crying. I didn't make her cry. She has enough going on, so do I. He looked toward the windows. Half the ballroom had apparently paused to observe us while pretending to arrange candles. Could you lower your voice? I haven't raised it. That almost makes it worse. I opened my car door. Adam stepped back. Where are you staying? The Green Lantern. His face tightened. That place by the interstate? Yes, that's an hour away. 52 minutes, depending on weather and emotional traffic. You can't stay there, I already am. Mom, it's not safe. Denise has a strict smoking policy and the ceiling survived yesterday. I feel protected. This isn't funny. Very little of it is. He dragged both hands over his face. For an instant, he looked 12 years older than he was. Can you please come inside for 20 minutes? Claire needs to see you're not angry with her. I am angry with her. His hands dropped. I'm angrier with you, I said, if that helps. She didn't know about tonight. Neither did I. We have so much in common. Mom, I'll be here for breakfast at 9. What about the walkthrough? I'm not on the schedule. We need you. You needed me to bring the boxes. They're here. So that's it? You're checking out until tomorrow? I'm going to eat dinner and lie down. There's food upstairs. I don't want to eat upstairs. His mouth set in the stubborn line he had inherited from me. You're punishing us. No. Punishment would be making you sleep in a den with 8 of my friends. I got into the car. He placed his hand on the roof, preventing me from closing the door without forcing it. You said you wouldn't make this weekend harder. I said I would help. What's the difference? I looked up at him. I'm beginning to find out. He removed his hand. The Green Lantern shared its parking lot with a diner called Peggy's, though my waitress's name was Carla. She brought coffee before I ordered and called everybody honey with the detached efficiency of someone labeling boxes. I ate meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans cooked long enough to lose their ambitions. At the table across from mine, 2 men in polo shirts discussed molars with alarming enthusiasm. The dental conference had found me. My phone stayed face down beside the sugar dispenser. When I finally looked, I had 7 messages. 3 were from Adam. Claire is upset. We're all exhausted. Call me tonight. 1 was from Paige asking whether the candles needed batteries. The package said batteries included in letters large enough to read from the highway. Claire had sent only 1. I'm sorry I didn't check. See you at breakfast. Marlene sent a photograph of the Savannah brochure beside a bottle of bourbon. Emergency planning session, she wrote. I replied, don't cancel anything. She answered immediately, I didn't say cancel. Back in room 118, I took a shower beneath water pressure that could have removed paint. I washed blue chalk from beneath my nails and hung my damp cardigan over the shower rod. At 11, I was still awake. Wedding weekends make strange neighbors. Doors slammed. Laughter rolled down the exterior walkway. Somewhere above me, plumbing coughed like a lifelong smoker. I tried the television, but every channel featured either people buying houses or people murdering the people with whom they had bought houses. I turned it off. Frank would have hated the room and enjoyed Denise. He would have complained about the pillows, then fallen asleep in 40 seconds. I would have lain beside him pretending to be irritated by his snoring, while taking comfort in its regularity. I opened the dresser drawer. The cedar box smelled faintly of his aftershave even after 6 years. Memory is dishonest that way. It preserves whatever it wants and leaves you questioning whether scent can live in wood that long. Inside, the silver cufflinks rested in their worn velvet slots. Each was engraved with a small M. Frank had worn them on our wedding day, at his father's funeral, and to Adam's college graduation. The last time he wore them was our 35th anniversary dinner, when he spilled steak sauce on his shirt and blamed the lighting. I touched one with my fingertip. Your son is being an ass, I told him. The room offered no objection. At 8 the next morning, I drove back up the mountain beneath a sky scrubbed blue by the storm. The lodge looked different in sunlight, less like a refuge, more like a building full of windows. I arrived at 8:57. Claire's mother, Vivian Bell, stood outside the dining room in a coral pantsuit, directing people toward coffee. Vivian was 63, narrow as a bookmark, and capable of making hospitality feel like a security screening. When she saw me, she spread both arms. Ruth, we were told you might not come. Who told you that? Her smile faltered. Adam said there was some confusion. I'm discovering confusion has a public relations department. Vivian glanced over my shoulder. Where are your things? At my motel. Motel? The lodge didn't have a reservation for me. Her expression changed with surprising speed. That cannot be right. It was very thoroughly not right. But Adam said you wanted to stay off the property. He said you found the lodge overwhelming. I'd never seen the lodge. Vivian lowered her voice. I thought you requested the farmhouse. No. For once, Vivian Bell had no immediate instruction to issue. She looked toward the dining room where Adam stood beside Claire pouring coffee. Claire saw us first. She touched Adam's arm. He turned and the space between us tightened. Vivian said, "I would never have taken the Hawthorne suite if I knew it meant you were put in some motel." "It didn't," Adam said as he approached. "The suite was always yours." "That's not the point. You needed space for the hair and makeup team. I need many things. It does not follow that your mother needs nothing." I had not expected Vivian to defend me, especially not before coffee. Adam seemed equally unprepared. "The farmhouse arrangement got mixed up," he said. "No," I told him. It was explained to me quite clearly. Claire came beside him. Her eyes were swollen, but her voice was steady. "Adam, did you ever actually book your mother a room?" Every conversation nearby softened by half. He looked at Claire, then at Vivian, then at me. "I thought we settled this." "That wasn't my question," Claire said. Adam's face closed. "No," he said. "I didn't." Vivian gave a short, stunned laugh. "Well, that was idiotic." "Mom," Claire warned, "it was." Adam turned to me. "Can we not hold court in the hallway?" I could have let Vivian continue. A meaner part of me wanted to step aside and watch him receive the kind of pressure he had expected me to absorb. Instead, I walked into the dining room. "I came for breakfast," I said. "I'd like to eat it while it's still breakfast." A place card with my name sat at the family table between Adam and Susan, Claire's father's wife. Someone had planned where I would sit. That almost made it worse. Susan smiled as I took my chair. "I hear you're staying off-site." Adam pulled out the seat beside me and sat down slowly. "Yes," I said. I wanted somewhere quieter. His head turned. I spread my napkin across my lap. Then I looked at him and added, "At least, that's what I'm told?" Susan's eyes moved from me to Adam and back again. She was a handsome woman in her late 50s, with silver blonde hair and the kind of posture that suggested she had once been corrected by nuns. She buttered half a biscuit with great concentration. "Well," she said, "quiet can be wonderful." Across the table, Claire's father, Richard, coughed into his coffee. Adam reached for the little pitcher of cream. "Can we talk about something else?" "Absolutely," Vivian said, sitting down opposite me. "Why did you lie to Claire?" "I didn't lie." Claire placed her coffee on the table so carefully that the spoon stopped rattling. "You said Ruth asked to stay off-site. She said she didn't want special treatment." "That is not the same sentence," Vivian said. "I wasn't talking to you. Clearly. If you had been, this would be organized." Richard closed his eyes. "Vivian, it's 9 in the morning, and yet time has already passed." They had been divorced for 19 years, and they still spoke as though a judge might be hiding beneath the table, awarding points. Adam turned to me. "Mom, I thought you'd be more comfortable at the farmhouse. I knew you wouldn't care about being in the middle of everything. I cared enough to ask you 3 times. You asked if accommodations were handled. They were." "Your mother had nowhere to sleep Thursday night," Claire said. "I didn't realize the rental started Friday." "You never looked at it," I said. He pushed his coffee away. "No, I didn't look at the rental agreement." "There was an agreement?" Vivian asked. "Mom, stop." "No, I'm fascinated. We may eventually locate a fact." Richard stood. "I'm getting fruit." "There's fruit on the table," Susan said. "Different fruit." He walked toward the buffet. I wanted to follow him. Instead, I cut into a triangle of French toast that had gone cold during the proceedings. Adam leaned close. "Are you enjoying this?" The question was quiet enough that the others pretended not to hear. "No. You could shut it down." "I've said very little." "That's exactly what you're doing." I put down my fork. "What am I doing?" "You're letting everyone think I abandoned you on the side of the road. You left me at a full hotel with no reservation. I offered to call around after asking me to unload the boxes." His cheeks colored. Claire looked between us. "You asked her to work before finding her a room?" "That's not what happened." Paige appeared beside the table holding a clipboard. "Sorry, does anyone know whether the florist is vegetarian?" Every face turned toward her. She looked down at the clipboard. I realize that sounds unrelated, but it affects lunch. Vivian pointed toward an empty chair. Sit, Paige. I can't. The place cards for tonight are alphabetized by first name. Why? I don't know. I didn't do it. Then who did? Paige glanced at Adam. Adam looked at Claire. Claire took a slow breath through her nose. I ate my French toast. For 10 glorious minutes, the room problem lost its position as the most urgent failure in the building. Breakfast dissolved into separate emergencies. Richard found different fruit. Susan discovered that her name was misspelled on the dinner chart. Vivian left to inspect the hair and makeup suite after making it clear she was doing so under protest. Adam was pulled toward the ballroom by a man carrying a tower of folded chairs. Claire touched my shoulder. Will you walk with me? We stepped onto the terrace behind the dining room. The storm had left beads of water on the iron tables and a sharp pine smell in the air. Below us, mountains folded into one another, blue and hazy. It would have been peaceful if 2 employees had not been testing speakers on the lawn. Check, check, one of them said. Love is patient. Check. Claire wrapped both hands around her coffee cup. I'm not going to ask you to forgive him before Saturday, she said. That's generous. She winced. I deserved that. I don't know if you did. I should have checked. Yes. I'm used to Adam handling his side of the family. I am his side of the family. She looked at me. I didn't mean it like that. I know. That may be the problem. Her eyes filled, and she turned toward the mountains. Claire's crying did not make her fragile. She cried when she was furious, tired, moved by music, or forced to wait too long for a sandwich. Adam once told me she had cried through an entire furniture delivery because the men scratched the floor, then made them lemonade. I've been awful, she said. You've been busy. That's a kind way to say it. It wasn't intended kindly. A laugh escaped her before she could stop it. She wiped beneath one eye. I'm trying not to ruin my makeup trial before it begins. Is that why your mother is inspecting the room? She thinks the artist's lighting makes people look deceased. Does she have experience? With looking alive? Considerable. We both smiled. It vanished first from her face. I really believed you wanted the farmhouse, she said. Adam said the lodge would bring back memories of Frank because it's where we toured with him. I turned toward her. Frank had come with us the first time Adam and Claire visited the Hawthorne. He had been thinner by then, though we were still calling it indigestion and waiting for a specialist who could see us the following month. He loved the stone fireplaces. He stood on the terrace and announced that if they held the wedding there, he would dance until his knees resigned. He died before Adam proposed. I never told Adam the lodge would be too hard for me, I said. Claire's fingers tightened around the cup. He said you told him after our tour. No, he was trying to protect you. Was he? The speakers crackled. Love is kind. Check, check. Claire stared into her coffee. He does this. What? Decides what people can handle. Then he tells each person a different version because he thinks it keeps the peace. I thought of Adam at 9, hiding a broken lamp behind the sofa because he did not want Frank upset before work. At 16, telling me his chemistry teacher had rescheduled a test when he had simply skipped it. At 30, waiting 6 weeks to tell us that he and his first serious girlfriend had separated. He's always hated bad news, I said. He hates being the person who delivers it. That's not the same thing. No. A gust shook droplets from the terrace umbrella. Claire stepped back before they struck her blouse. Would you let us pay for your motel? She asked. No. At least one night. No. Why? Because I don't want to spend the rest of the weekend wondering whether accepting your money means I agreed this was an accident. Her mouth tightened. It wasn't my decision. You benefited from it. I know. There was steel in her reply. Not anger at me, exactly, but not surrender either. That was the Claire I recognized, the woman who rearranged my refrigerator while praising my tulips. I'm not asking you to take all the blame, I said. It feels like you are. I'm asking you not to hand all of it back to Adam because he's easier to be mad at right now." She looked at me for a long moment. "You're angry with me," she said. "Yes." "Are you still coming to the rehearsal?" "Yes." "The dinner?" "Yes." "And tomorrow?" "I didn't drive 6 hours to miss your wedding." Her shoulders loosened. "But I'm not available for setup," I added, "or errands, or smoothing over arguments between your parents. I'm coming as Adam's mother. We need Adam's mother. Then you'll have me." A woman opened the terrace door and called Claire's name. She had a rolling makeup case and an expression of professional alarm. "I have to go," Claire said. I gathered. She hesitated, then hugged me. I did not expect it, and for a second my arms remained at my sides. Claire felt that second. I knew because her body stiffened. Then I put one hand between her shoulder blades. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I know." She went inside with the makeup artist. I stayed on the terrace until the speaker technician said, "Love does not dishonor others," then muttered, "Why is this one quieter?" I spent the middle of the day away from the lodge. I found a salon near the interstate where a woman named Tasha washed and set my hair without asking why I needed it done. She had a tattoo of scissors on her wrist and strong opinions about humidity. When she finished, my hair looked like itself on a very good day. "Wedding?" she asked as she removed the cape. "My son's. You excited?" "Yes." The answer came easily because it was true. I was still excited to see Adam marry Claire. That truth sat beside my anger without canceling it. People like things tidy, but love is rarely polite enough to leave when resentment arrives. At the motel, I changed into a navy dress with small pearl buttons and low heels Marlene called orthopedic surrender. The cedar box remained in the dresser drawer. I checked it twice before leaving, then felt foolish for checking. The rehearsal began at 4:30 on the lawn. White chairs faced an arbor overlooking the mountains. The aisle was bordered by small glass lanterns, each one holding a candle. Paige had successfully discovered contained its own batteries. Adam stood near the arbor in khakis and a pale blue shirt. When he saw me, relief crossed his face before caution replaced it. He came over. "You look nice." "Thank you." "How's the motel? It has all 4 walls." I asked the front desk again. "There haven't been any cancellations. I didn't ask you to. I'm trying. Try after Saturday." The officiant, a gray-haired woman named Diane, clapped her hands and called everyone into position. Claire's parents began arguing immediately about who had been told to stand where. Susan moved herself 2 feet to the left and solved it. My place was in the first row, aisle seat. Adam would walk me down before taking his position at the arbor. That had always been the plan. Nothing had been stolen from the ceremony itself. I was grateful and ashamed of my gratitude. "Ready?" Adam asked. He offered his arm. I took it. We walked the empty aisle while Diane gave instructions, and the wedding party shuffled behind us. At the front, Adam kissed my cheek. For 1 second, his hand covered mine where it rested on his arm. "Don't be mad at me tomorrow," he whispered. I looked at him. "That's not something you schedule," I said. His hand dropped. We practiced it again. By the 3rd walk, everybody knew when to move. Claire came down the aisle beside Richard, smiling despite herself when Adam smiled back. Watching them, I remembered why we were there. They did love each other. They also exhausted each other, protected each other, and lied in small ways they called kindness. A marriage could be built from all of that. The question was what it became when the scaffolding came down. At the rehearsal dinner, I sat beside Susan again. She had corrected her name card with a pen. 2 N's, she told me. I could tolerate one at breakfast, but dinner is formal. Across the room, Adam raised a glass and thanked everyone who had traveled. His gaze found mine. "And especially my mom," he said, "who has done more for this weekend than anyone knows." People applauded. I smiled because 60 faces were turned toward me. Later, near the coat room, Adam caught my elbow. "Where are Dad's cufflinks?" "Safe. I need them tonight. They're at my motel." He let go of my arm. You took them an hour away? I took my belongings to the room I booked. They're not just belongings. No, I said, they aren't. His eyes hardened. I'll come get them. I picked up my purse. Then you'll finally know where I'm staying. That's unnecessary, Adam said. So was lying to Claire. His eyes flicked toward the dining room. Could you stop saying that where people can hear you? I said it in a coat room. People wear coats. In February, it's June. He gave me the look he used when I was being deliberately literal. He had inherited that from Frank too, the expression, not the literalness. Frank could turn, taking something literally into an Olympic event. What room? Adam asked. 118. I'll follow you. No, dinner isn't over. I thought you were leaving. I'm getting my purse. Claire's uncle is still giving a toast. From the ballroom came a burst of laughter, followed by the squeal of a microphone. Adam checked his phone. Uncle Pete's toast was supposed to be 4 minutes. Perhaps he found a second marriage to discuss. This is serious, Mom. So are cufflinks, apparently. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I don't want Dad's things sitting in some highway motel. They've been sitting in my dresser for 6 years. That's different. Because you know where my dresser is? Because they're safe there. The word irritated me. They're safe now. Fine. I'll meet you at your room. I'll leave when the dinner ends. Mom, I drove here for your wedding. I am attending the events I was invited to attend. He searched my face for the trick. There wasn't one. Behind us, the ballroom doors opened and Mark Ellis, Adam's best man, backed into the hallway holding a sheet cake. Mark had known Adam since college and treated formal clothing as a personal accusation. His tie was already in his pocket. Need a spotter, he said. This thing has the structural integrity of pudding. Adam turned automatically and grabbed the other end. Kitchen, Mark said. Then he noticed me. Mrs. Mercer. There you are. I've been looking for you. Why? Because everybody says you know where everything is. Adam stared at him. Mark adjusted his grip on the cake. I'm getting the feeling that was the wrong answer. The kitchen is through those doors, I said. See? Invaluable. They carried the cake away together, Adam walking backward while glaring at me over the white icing. I returned to the table. Uncle Pete's toast lasted 12 minutes and included a story about Claire mistaking a garden hose for a snake at age 26. Claire laughed with her whole body. Adam sat beside her smiling, but his right leg bounced beneath the table. I could have left. Instead, I ate the lemon cake after Mark delivered it without collapse. I listened to Richard welcome Adam into the Bell family. Vivian corrected 2 dates during his speech. Susan poured me coffee and said, You're handling this better than I would. You don't know how I'm handling it. No, she said. That's why it looks better. At 10:15, the final toast ended. Adam was trapped near the exit by Claire's aunt, who had questions about shuttle times. I kissed Claire's cheek and told her I would see her in the morning. Are you okay to drive? She asked. I've had 1 glass of wine in 3 hours. I meant because it's dark. There was guilt beneath the question, awkward and earnest. I'll be fine. She touched my wrist. Text me when you get there? I'll text Adam. Her expression shifted, but she nodded. The mountain road was worse at night. My headlights found curves one at a time, and twice I slowed for deer standing at the shoulder with the entitled stillness of local residents. When I reached the highway, the motel's green sign looked almost welcoming. Denise was behind the desk eating noodles from a paper carton. How was the wedding? She asked. Tomorrow. She pointed her plastic fork at me. That's too many outfits for one wedding. Tonight was the rehearsal dinner. Ah, rehearsing eating. We did well. Good. Hate to see anybody improvise. I told her my son would be coming by. She looked through the window at the parking lot as if assessing where to place barricades. You want him to know the room? Yes, you sure? He's not dangerous, didn't ask that. I smiled despite myself. Send him down. Room 118 smelled faintly of the vanilla spray housekeeping had used while I was gone. I removed my shoes, flexed my toes against the carpet, and took the cedar box from the dresser drawer. Adam arrived at 11:23. He knocked 4 times, paused, then knocked 3 more. "I'm coming," I called. When I opened the door, he was still wearing his pale blue shirt, though the sleeves were rolled to his elbows. He looked past me before saying, "Hello. This is where you're staying." It's what was available. He stepped inside. The room became smaller around him. His gaze traveled from the bed to the brown quilt, the television, and the water stain on the ceiling. Absolutely not. I closed the door. "Good evening to you, too. You can't sleep under that. It's not directly over the bed. What if it collapses? Then the television will have a very bad night. I'm serious. So is the ceiling. Denise says it's holding." He went into the bathroom, looked at the shower, then opened the door to the narrow closet. "You inspected the room at the farmhouse less thoroughly," I said. He shut the closet. "I'm calling the lodge. At 11:30, we'll move someone." "No. Mom, this place is awful. It's clean. That's not the standard. It was yesterday." His face tightened. I said I screwed up. "No, you said we would figure it out." "Fine. I screwed up." The words landed with the weight of coins tossed onto a counter. I sat on the edge of the bed. The cedar box rested beside me. Adam remained standing. "I should have checked the farmhouse dates. I thought Paige had talked to you. Paige thought Claire had talked to you. Claire thought I had. You told Claire I asked to stay off-site." He looked toward the window. "That's not a misunderstanding," I said. "I was trying to simplify things. For whom? For everyone. Not for me. You said from the beginning you didn't need to be in the center of everything. There's a difference between the center and the interstate. I know that now. You knew it yesterday." He paced to the door, then back. "What do you want me to say?" That question exhausted me. "I want you to know what you're sorry for before you apologize. I'm sorry you ended up here. Still not it. What is it then?" I looked at my son standing in the room my savings had bought because his plans did not include me. "You counted on me being embarrassed enough to make this easy for you." His mouth opened, then closed. "You knew I wouldn't yell in the lobby. You knew I'd find my own solution. You knew I wouldn't demand Claire's father give up his room or make Vivian share hers with Susan. You chose me because I was safe to disappoint. That is not what happened. Then tell me what happened." The room block kept changing. Richard brought Susan. Vivian refused to move floors. Claire's friends needed the farmhouse because one of them couldn't afford the lodge, and every time I solved something, there was another problem. I was getting calls at work. Claire was crying. Her mother was sending spreadsheets at 2 a.m. "You kept saying you didn't want special treatment. I wanted a reservation. I knew you'd understand." The sentence sat between us. Adam must have heard it once it was outside him. His shoulders sank. I touched the lid of the cedar box. "Understanding why you hurt me doesn't make it acceptable. I didn't mean to hurt you. You meant to avoid telling me the truth." "Yes." His voice was barely audible. "Okay?" "Yes." That was the first honest answer he had given me. It did not feel as good as I expected. He sat in the chair beside the dresser and leaned forward, his forearms on his knees. For a few seconds, he was not a groom or a liar or a man trying to manage a complicated weekend. He was Adam, tired and frightened, with his hair falling across his forehead. "I can't fix this tonight," he said. "No. And I'm getting married tomorrow. I know. Can we just get through it? I'm planning to. I need you there. I will be there. Not like this." My hand stilled on the box. "How would you like me?" "You know what I mean." "I'd like to hear you say it." He stood again. "I don't want to spend my wedding wondering if my mother hates me." "I don't hate you. Then don't act like it." A sharp pain went through me, followed immediately by anger. You don't get to decide what love looks like after you've hurt someone. He looked away. "You want me smiling and helpful because that would reassure you," I continued. "You want tomorrow to prove today didn't matter. That's not fair. I'm not doing this to you, Adam. I'm just not hiding it from myself anymore. He walked to the window. Outside, headlights passed along the highway. White, then red. Dad would tell us to let this go until after the wedding, he said. Do not bring your father into this. He'd want tomorrow to be good. So do I. He wouldn't want you holding his cufflinks over my head. I opened the cedar box. The silver caught the lamplight. I lifted them from the velvet and placed them in his palm. I would never use your father against you, I said. Don't use him against me. Adam closed his fingers around the cufflinks. For a moment, I thought he might cry. Instead, he put them into the small inside pocket of his jacket and buttoned it. Thank you. They were always yours. I know. No, I said. If you knew, you wouldn't have needed to accuse me. He looked at the box still open beside me. I'm sorry. This time, he did not explain what for. I closed the lid. He walked to the door, then turned. Family pictures are at 1:30. The itinerary says 2. They moved them. When? Tonight. Then somebody should send an updated itinerary. His jaw flexed. Can you be there at 1? For pictures at 1:30? We may start early, then call them 1. Fine, 1. I'll be there. He opened the door. Adam. He looked back. I love you. His face softened with immediate relief. And I am still angry. The relief vanished. Both things were true. I was done letting him use one to erase the other. He left without answering. At 7 the next morning, my phone began vibrating across the nightstand. Paige wanted to know whether I had a sewing kit. Mark wanted to know how cufflinks worked. Adam wanted me at the lodge by 10. Claire sent a single message beneath all of them. Come at 1. Wear your dress. Be his mother, nothing else. I read it twice. Then I turned off the alarm I had set for 8 and went back to sleep. I woke at 8:43 with the phone face down beneath the edge of the bed. For one panicked second, I thought I had overslept the wedding. Then I remembered it began at 4 and resented my own heartbeat for wasting the energy. There were 11 new messages. Paige had found a sewing kit but lost a steamer. Mark had sent a photograph of Adam's wrist with one cuff link fastened backward. Adam had written, "Are you awake?" Followed 15 minutes later by "Never mind." Claire had not added anything to her message. Come at 1. Wear your dress. Be his mother. Nothing else. I made coffee in the little machine beside the television. It tasted like the cup had been used to rinse pennies, but it was hot. I drank it while standing at the window in my nightgown, watching couples carry garment bags across the parking lot. One of the dentists walked by wearing a tuxedo and carrying a plastic model of a jaw. I stopped trying to understand other people's weekends. At 9:30, I called Marlene. She answered on video with half her face filling the screen. Is this an emergency? No. Then why can I see my own chin? You called me. I answered you. She adjusted the phone and appeared at her kitchen table in a red bathrobe. The Savannah brochure was propped against the sugar bowl behind her. Show me the dress, she said. I haven't put it on. Put it on. I'm calling to say good morning. Good morning. Put on the dress. I rested the phone against a lamp and removed the pale gray-blue dress from its garment bag. Claire had chosen it after sending me links to 23 others. It had a soft, draped neckline, elbow-length sleeves, and tiny beads at the cuffs. When I first tried it on, I told her the color made me look like respectable weather. She said it made my eyes look blue. The zipper caught halfway. Don't pull it like that, Marlene said through the phone. You're not here. I can still see you doing it wrong. I backed toward the screen. Can you reach it? Very funny. Use the hanger loop. I cut it off. Why? Because it stuck out. That loop was infrastructure. I managed the zipper with a pair of tongs wrapped in a washcloth. Marlene called it resourceful. I called it what happened when the mother of the groom dressed alone in a motel room. The dress fit perfectly. Marlene grew quiet. What? I asked. Nothing. You never mean nothing. You look beautiful. My throat tightened. Thank you. Frank would have whistled. He whistled at anything with a zipper. He was consistent. I sat at the end of the bed, careful not to wrinkle the skirt. Am I making too much of this? I asked. No, you answered too fast. You want me to make a list? No. Because I have categories. I'm asking honestly. Marlene leaned closer to the screen. You're not angry about a mattress, Ruth. I know that, do you? I looked toward the dresser. The cedar box was still in the top drawer, empty except for Frank's tie clip, coins, and useless brass key. If I stay angry today, it will be in every picture, I said. You don't have to perform anger any more than you have to perform forgiveness. What do I perform? Good posture. That dress requires it. I laughed. Go watch your son get married, she said. Feel whatever shows up. After we hung up, I did my makeup at the bathroom mirror under a light that made everyone look guilty. I pinned my hair, put on pearl earrings Frank had given me for our 20th anniversary, and slipped a folded cotton handkerchief into my purse. I checked out of the Green Lantern for the afternoon but kept the room for the night. Denise looked me over from behind the desk. That's more like it, she said. More like what? The reason that dress has been haunting my hallway. You approved of the rehearsal outfit. I approved of your shoes. That navy dress was too serious. It was a rehearsal dinner. You looked prepared to deny somebody parole. She came around the desk and straightened one of my beaded cuffs. Have a good time, she said. I plan to. Mean it. The road to the lodge was bright and dry. Wildflowers leaned along the shoulder where rain had flattened them. I drove with the windows cracked and Frank's favorite Motown station playing low. At 12:58, Caleb opened my car door. You made it, he said. I said I would. He smiled. Would you like me to park the car? Yes, please. That small surrender felt luxurious. Inside, the lodge had transformed. White flowers climbed the stair rail. Candles lined the corridor. The blue runners lay correctly across the welcome tables, 9 inches hanging at each end. Paige hurried toward me with a safety pin between her lips. I found the steamer, she said around it. I'm very happy for you. It was under 3 shawls. Don't ask. I wasn't going to. She removed the pin. You look amazing. So do you. Paige looked as if she had been assembled during an earthquake. Her green dress was beautiful, but one false eyelash had begun to lift at the corner. Do you have eyelash glue? She asked. No. Worth a try. She ran off. Family photographs were being taken on the terrace. The photographer, a compact woman with 2 cameras strapped across her body, pointed people into place with the force of an air traffic controller. Adam stood near the stone railing beside Mark. He was in a dark suit, white shirt, and silver-gray tie. Frank's cufflinks flashed at his wrists. Both faced the right direction now. I stopped just inside the terrace doors. There are moments when love ignores every case you have built against it. It does not ask whether the person deserves the force with which you feel it. It simply sees your son on his wedding day and knocks the air out of you. Adam looked up. His face changed. He came toward me, then slowed as though remembering we were not all right. Hi, he said. Hi, you look beautiful. So do you. I look beautiful? Very? He laughed. The sound was nervous and familiar. I'm glad you came, he said. I told you I would. I know. The photographer called, Groom and mother, please. Adam offered me his arm. This time it did not feel like a test. We stood near the railing while the photographer adjusted my shoulders and told Adam to angle his chin. Closer, she said. Adam put one arm around me. Closer than that. She's your mother, not your accountant. His hand settled at my waist. I rested mine against his lapel. The cufflink on his left wrist was not fully secured. I could see the small post slipping from the buttonhole. Hold still, I said. He lifted his arm while I fastened it properly. Mark watched a video, he explained. Mark thought a corkscrew was involved. How did you know? I've met Mark. The photographer took 3 pictures while we were smiling. Then she asked us to look at each other. That was harder. Adam's eyes were Frank's eyes when the light hit them from the side. The same gray ring around the blue. I could see he had not slept. There was a tiny nick beneath his jaw where he had shaved too quickly. "I'm sorry about last night," he murmured. "Which part?" He swallowed. The photographer lowered her camera. "Everything okay?" "Yes," Adam and I said together. She raised it again. "Try not to talk, just look." We did. Whatever the photograph captured, it would not be simple. Claire appeared in the terrace doorway and everyone turned. She wore a satin robe over her wedding gown and carried her shoes in one hand. Her hair was pinned up, her makeup soft enough that she still looked like herself. Vivian hovered behind her with a lint roller. Claire saw me and smiled. "You're here." "I am. You look perfect, so do you." "She is not fully dressed," Vivian said. "No one is perfect with bare feet." "I'm saving the shoes for when they're legally necessary," Claire said. The photographer began reorganizing us. Richard and Susan joined from the bar. Vivian insisted she had been told parents' photographs would occur indoors, then admitted the terrace lighting was better. Mark was removed from 2 family arrangements and added back into one. Through it all, Adam stayed beside me. At one point, Vivian touched my sleeve. "I owe you an apology," she said. "This may not be the moment. It is the only moment in which I have located you standing still." I looked at her. She kept her voice low. I accepted Adam's explanation because I had no objection to it. That was selfish. It was not a warm apology, but it was precise. "Thank you," I said. I also told him he was an idiot. I heard. "I thought you might appreciate the completeness." The photographer called Vivian's name. She went immediately. By 3:30, guests were arriving. I waited in a small sitting room off the lobby with Richard and Susan while the wedding party moved upstairs. Someone brought us sparkling water and crackers. Richard ate 4 crackers without appearing to notice. "I handled this poorly," he said to me. "What did you handle?" "The rooms." "You didn't handle them at all." "Exactly." Susan patted his knee. "He's been practicing that sentence." Richard ignored her. Adam asked whether Susan and I needed 2 rooms. I said yes before asking why. "You are married," I said. "We enjoy separate bathrooms," Susan said. "We require separate bathrooms," Richard corrected. "I wasn't going to ask either of you to move." "I know," he said, "which is probably why nobody asked you anything." The usher came for us before I had to answer. Outside, the chairs were full. Music drifted across the lawn. I stood with Adam at the back of the aisle while the last of the wedding party took their places. He held out his arm. "Ready?" he asked. "Are you?" "No." "Good answer." We began walking. People smiled as we passed. I saw Marlene's empty chair in my imagination, then Frank's absence everywhere at once, in the music, in Adam's nervous grip, in the mountain view he had loved. My eyes burned. At the front, Adam kissed my cheek. "I'm glad you're here," he whispered. "So am I." There was no promise hidden inside it. No forgiveness. Just the truth. I took my seat. Then Claire appeared at the far end of the aisle beside Richard, wearing her shoes at last, and Adam's whole face opened. Watching him, I understood something I had been too angry to notice. He had not made me peripheral because he no longer loved me. He had done it because he believed my love made me permanent. The officiant began. Adam and Claire took each other's hands, both of them trembling, and I listened to my son promise that he would tell the truth, even when the truth was difficult. The words did not strike Adam as irony. He was looking at Claire as if there were no one else on the mountain. That saved the moment for me. Claire's vows were not grand. She promised to answer direct questions directly, to share the last good bite of dessert at least half the time, and to remember that being on the same side did not require them to have the same opinion. Adam laughed when she said that. Then his voice broke during his own vows, and Claire reached up to touch his cheek before the officiant had finished prompting him. I cried into the handkerchief from my purse. Not because everything was repaired. It wasn't. Not because Frank was absent. He was. I cried because my son was happy, and happiness does not become false merely because the person feeling it has disappointed you. When Diane pronounced them married, Adam kissed Claire with one hand at the back of her neck. The guests rose, applauding. Vivian applauded while checking that Richard was doing it with sufficient enthusiasm. Susan caught my eye across the aisle and winked. Adam and Claire came back down the aisle, smiling so widely they looked stunned. At the terrace doors, Claire pulled me into a hug. "We did it," she said. "You did. No weather, no fainting." Nobody objected. Were objections still being accepted? Not anymore. Adam kissed my temple, quick and automatic, before Mark dragged him toward the photographer. Cocktail hour spread across the terrace and adjoining lounge. Servers carried trays of tiny crab cakes that required more confidence than food. A jazz trio played near the fireplace. Everyone seemed to know everyone else, or was willing to pretend until they found the bar. I spoke with Claire's aunt, who had asked about shuttle times, two of Adam's co-workers, and a man named Dennis who believed retirement had made him an expert on olive oil. None of them knew where I was sleeping. The humiliation that had felt enormous in the lobby remained, to most guests, invisible. That brought relief and an odd kind of loneliness. Mark found me beside the windows. His tie had returned to his neck, though not necessarily in the condition its manufacturer intended. "Good ceremony," he said. It was. "I only lost the rings once. I'm glad you waited until after to tell me. They were in my other pocket. Technically, I lost track of them." Comforting distinction. He rocked back on his heels. "Adam said you're at some motel way out by the highway. News travels. He asked if I could give up my room last night. That surprised me." "What did you say?" I said yes. Then he found out I'm sharing with the officiant's husband because the lodge put us together by mistake. Diane's husband? Nice guy. Snores like a tractor and sleeps without a shirt, but nice guy. I covered a laugh with my glass. "Adam called 4 other people too," Mark said. "Nobody could move, or they had spouses and medical machines and strong feelings. He didn't tell me. He's not good at telling people things that make him look stupid. I've noticed." Mark looked toward the terrace where Adam and Claire stood with their wedding party. He knows he screwed up. Knowing and admitting are cousins, not twins. Is that a mom saying? It's a Ruth saying. I might steal it. Attribute me. The photographer called him. Before leaving, Mark touched my arm. "He was scared you'd go home. He asked me not to." Yeah, I think that was the first honest thing he said all weekend. Then Mark hurried outside and squeezed between Paige and another attendant for a photograph. I watched Adam through the glass. He had tried to find me a room after I left. That mattered. It also did not move time backward. Both facts were allowed to remain facts. The reception ballroom glowed with candles and strings of warm lights. My runners lay beneath arrangements of white roses and greenery. The place cards had been alphabetized correctly after all. Mine was at a table near the dance floor with Richard, Susan, Vivian, Uncle Pete, and Uncle Pete's second wife, who had heard quite enough about his first one. Adam and Claire sat at a small table together. I liked that. It prevented both families from treating them as territory. When they were introduced, Adam lifted Claire off her feet for half a turn. She squealed and hit his shoulder, then kissed him. Dinner came in stages. Vivian sent back her salmon because it was cool in the center. Richard offered to trade plates, which offended her further because she believed he was implying she complained too much. Susan quietly ate both their untouched asparagus. "You waste good vegetables when you divorce," she told me. "Is that the lesson?" One of several. I laughed more than I expected to that evening. The speeches began after dinner. Richard was brief and tender. He said Claire had always demanded the world make sense, and he hoped marriage would teach her to love some of its nonsense. Vivian pretended to wipe her eye only after confirming the photographer was nearby. Mark stood with a champagne glass. "I met Adam when we were 19, he began, and he told me he knew how to change a tire. 2 hours later, we learned that Adam's approach to bad news is to keep working until somebody else notices." The room laughed. Adam dropped his head. My laugh caught in my throat. Mark told stories about their first apartment, Adam's terrible cooking, and the time he drove all night to help Mark after a breakup. He finished by saying Adam's greatest strength was staying when things became difficult. Claire took Adam's hand. I wondered whether a trait could be both true and false, depending on which door you entered through. After cake, the bandleader called Claire and Richard to the floor. Richard began with the stiff concentration of a man defusing a bomb. Claire put his hand where it belonged, said something that made him laugh, and they relaxed into the music. Adam appeared beside my chair before their song ended. "You ready?" he asked. "No." His face fell. "I'm kidding. That was cruel. That was 6 hours in a car coming out." He held out his hand. The band began an old Sam Cooke song Frank used to play on Sunday mornings. Adam had chosen it months earlier and asked whether it was too sad. I had told him songs were allowed to hold more than one thing. The dance floor felt enormous when we stepped onto it. Adam placed one hand at my waist and took my right hand in his. He had grown taller than me at 14, but I could still remember teaching him to dance before a high school formal, his feet too large and his confidence entirely theoretical. "Left," I murmured. "I know. You're going right. Your other left." We corrected ourselves and moved in a slow circle. Guests watched from the tables. Phones lifted. The photographer walked backward along the edge of the floor. Adam's cufflinks shone beneath his sleeves. "Thank you for giving them to me," he said. "I told you they were yours. They feel weird. They're cufflinks. No, wearing Dad's." I looked at his shoulder rather than his face. He would have loved this. I know. He would have complained about the price of the flowers. He would have asked if he could take food home. He would have taken it without asking. Adam laughed quietly. For a few measures, we were ourselves. Then he said, "Are we okay?" The question was too large and too late for the middle of a dance. "We're dancing," I said. "That's not what I asked." "I know." His hand tightened slightly at my waist. "Can we please not do this today?" I looked up at him. "You brought it onto the dance floor. I'm asking if we're okay. And I'm answering honestly. You're not answering." "No, Adam. We're not okay yet." The photographer's camera clicked. His smile stayed in place, but something behind it closed. "So you're going to remember my wedding as the weekend I didn't book you a room. I'm going to remember all of it." That sounds like a threat. It's a memory. "Mom, I will remember Claire coming down the aisle. I'll remember your father's cufflinks. I'll remember this song. And I'll remember standing at the front desk while you made me feel foolish for believing you." His gaze moved past my shoulder toward the guests. "You could give me one day. I am here. I walked with you. I smiled for pictures. I watched you marry the woman you love. Which part of the day have I taken?" His jaw worked. "I need you to act like you're happy for me. I am happy for you. And angry, yes. At the same time, yes." He looked genuinely bewildered, as though love and anger were liquids that could not occupy the same glass. The song continued around us. "I don't know what you want from me," he said. "Not tonight. That's convenient. No. Tonight is for your wedding. You asked me to postpone my feelings, not discuss them in public, and still reassure you privately. I'm trying to do the first two." His eyes met mine. "I don't hate you," I said, "but I won't say we're fine so you can stop feeling what you did." The song ended before he answered. People applauded. Adam kissed my cheek and I hugged him. The embrace was real. So was the distance when we released each other. Claire came onto the floor for the first dance with her husband. She glanced at Adam's face, then at mine. I gave her a small nod. Whatever she read in it, she accepted. The band shifted into something faster and the wedding party joined them. I returned to my table. Susan handed me a glass of water. That looked intense. "He counts when he dances." "Ah, he loses track after 6. She nodded solemnly. "That explains it. The rest of the reception unfolded without catastrophe. Paige's eyelash stayed attached. Uncle Pete danced with both wives, though not simultaneously. Vivian removed her shoes at 10:15 after spending 2 days criticizing Claire for doing the same. Richard and Susan disappeared for 20 minutes and returned carrying sandwiches wrapped in napkins. Adam kept his distance for an hour. Then he found me near the coffee station. "Claire wants you in the group picture." "Which group?" "Everybody who's still standing. I qualify." We gathered on the dance floor while the photographer climbed onto a chair. Adam stood on one side of Claire and I stood on the other. At the last second, Claire reached behind herself and took my hand. The flash went off. At midnight, the band played its final song. Staff began stacking glasses. Paige came over carrying a cardboard box. "Could you help me pack the table decorations?" she asked. Before I could answer, Claire appeared behind her. "No," Claire said. Paige turned. "No? Ruth is leaving. I was just asking." "I know. Ask Mark." Across the room, Mark was attempting to balance 3 unopened bottles of wine beneath one arm. He'll break them. Then ask someone with 2 arms. Paige walked away, muttering about family dynamics. Claire looked at me. "You stayed for everything. I wanted to." "Thank you." I kissed her cheek. Then I crossed the ballroom to Adam. He was unpinning flowers from the arbor display with one hand while holding his suit jacket in the other. "I'm going," I said. He glanced at the clock. "Already?" "It's midnight." "Right." I hugged him. His arms closed around me hard enough to wrinkle the dress. "Drive safe," he said. "I will. Text me when you get there." "You may be busy." "Text me anyway." Outside, Caleb brought my car around. The night air felt cool against my face. Music started again inside after someone persuaded the band to play one more song. I drove down the mountain with the windows open. At the Green Lantern, my room was exactly as I had left it. The cedar box waited in the dresser. My nightgown lay folded on the bed. On the table, I placed the wedding favor, a small jar of local honey with Adam and Claire's names printed on the lid. I texted him that I had arrived. He replied with a heart. Then Marlene called and asked, "Well?" I sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing my beautiful dress. "It was wonderful," I said. Only after I heard myself say it did I begin to cry. Marlene let me cry without trying to stop it. That was unusual for her. My sister generally treated tears as leaking pipes. Identify the source, shut off the valve, send somebody a bill. I held the phone against my ear and bent forward so the beads at my cuffs pressed into my knees. "It really was wonderful," I said again. "I believe you." He looked so much like Frank. I believe that too. He wore the cufflinks. Right side up? Eventually. My laugh came out wet and broken. Marlene waited. "I was happy," I said. "I don't understand why I'm crying if I was happy, because happiness is rude. It shows up without checking what else is in the room. That sounds like something printed on a mug. I'll send you one." I pulled the cotton handkerchief from my purse. It was streaked with mascara and smelled faintly of crab cakes because I had carried a napkin in the same compartment. Adam asked whether we were okay during the dance. "What did you say?" "The truth. Poor timing," he asked. "Still poor timing." I smiled. I told him we weren't okay yet. "And did the earth open?" "No." "Did the band stop?" "No." "Then apparently a mother can tell the truth at a wedding and civilization survives." After we hung up, I removed the gray-blue dress and hung it from the bathroom door. One cuff had caught slightly on Adam's jacket during our last hug. I smoothed the tiny beads with my thumb. My face in the mirror looked older without makeup, though not defeated, just used. I slept until 8:30 and woke to the sounds of suitcases rolling along the exterior walkway. Checkout at the Green Lantern was 11. Farewell brunch at the lodge began at 10. I packed the dress, the empty space where the cufflinks had been, and the jar of honey. The motel receipt slid under my door while I was brushing my teeth. $946. I folded it twice and put it in my wallet behind the Savannah brochure Marlene had mailed me. I would replace the money. It might take until March instead of January. We could eat fewer things with butter, though I had no intention of telling Marlene that yet. Denise was working the desk when I checked out. Ceiling stayed up, I told her. We try. I placed my key card on the counter. How'd it go? She asked. He got married. That's usually the objective. It was beautiful. She studied me, then nodded. That can be hard, too. Denise had the useful habit of stopping one sentence before curiosity became intrusion. Thank you for the room, I said. You paid enough for it. Apparently the dentists required surge pricing. They're leaving today. We can have plaque again. I laughed, and she smiled as she tucked the key sleeve into a drawer. At the lodge, the remains of celebration were everywhere. White flowers sagged along the stair rail. Someone had abandoned a silver high heel beside the fireplace. A man in a suit slept upright in a leather chair with a paper coffee cup balanced on his stomach. The brunch buffet occupied the dining room where our first family breakfast had gone so well. Chafing dishes held eggs, bacon, potatoes, and something involving kale that no one had disturbed. Guests wore sunglasses indoors and spoke at reduced volume. Adam and Claire had not arrived. There were 3 open chairs at the family table. I saw my place card from Friday still tucked beneath a salt shaker, though no seating had been assigned that morning. Then Mark waved from a table near the windows. He sat with Diane, the officiant, Diane's tractor-snoring husband, and Paige, whose false eyelashes were gone and whose face looked 10 years younger without them. I joined them. Mrs. Mercer, Mark said, I owe you an apology. For what? He lifted his left wrist. I may have sent you 6 messages about cufflinks before 8 in the morning. Only one reached me. Good. I was not operating at full capacity. Diane's husband, Walter, pointed his fork at Mark. He woke me at 6:30 watching a tutorial. You were already awake, Mark said. I was awake because you shouted, "Why are there 2 pieces?" They're deceptively engineered. Paige drank half a glass of orange juice in one swallow. I packed decorations until 2. You found someone with 2 arms, I asked? Eventually. Her mouth curved. Claire told us you were off duty. Claire was right. I know. I'm sorry I kept asking you things. You were doing your job. No, I was panicking in your direction. There's a difference. I liked her better without the clipboard. Adam and Claire entered at 10:40 to applause. Claire wore a white sundress and flat sandals. Adam had on khakis and a wrinkled blue shirt. They looked exhausted, slightly stunned, and deeply pleased with themselves. Claire lifted their joined hands like victorious boxers. They made their way from table to table, receiving hugs and advice no one requested. Adam saw me with Mark. His eyes moved to the empty chairs at the family table. When he reached us, he kissed the top of my head. You're sitting over here? I am. I thought you'd save us seats. There are 3 at your parents' table. Right. He glanced toward Richard and Vivian, who were already disagreeing over whether the coffee was weak. Of course. Claire hugged me from behind my chair. Did you sleep? She asked. Eventually. Did you? Ask me Tuesday. Adam rested one hand on the back of my chair. What time are you leaving? After brunch. You should wait until afternoon. Traffic will be bad. I'll take my chances. Mom, it's 6 hours. I'd like to be home before dark. We could have lunch. I looked at the buffet between us. What are we doing now? A real lunch. You're leaving for Asheville this afternoon, Claire reminded him. Not until 3. It's 11. I know what time it is. They looked at each other. Marriage had lasted less than 24 hours, and already logistics were back. I'm fine, I said. You two enjoy your trip. It's only 4 days, Claire said. The real honeymoon is in September. Then enjoy your practice trip. She laughed and kissed my cheek again. As they moved toward the family table, Adam looked back at me. I could tell he wanted something from my face, a sign that my choice of seat was casual rather than consequential. I turned to Diane and asked how long she had been officiating weddings. Uncle Pete's second wife joined us after her husband became occupied explaining the hotel bill to his first wife. Her name was Carol. She sat in the empty chair beside me and lowered her voice. I heard there was some trouble with your room. The sentence moved through me like a draft. Who told you? Vivian mentioned a mix-up. Of course she had. Vivian believed privacy was information she had not yet organized. There wasn't a reservation for me, I said. Oh, how awful. Did the hotel lose it? No, it was never made. Carol's eyebrows rose. Across the room, Adam was watching. I spread jam across a biscuit. Where did you stay? She asked. At a motel near the interstate. That's almost an hour away, 52 minutes. How did that happen? Adam assumed I would stay at the farmhouse, but it wasn't available Thursday. Carol looked toward him, then back to me. On a pullout? News at weddings traveled with impressive detail. Yes, that's terrible. It was inconvenient. You must have been furious. I was. Adam stood from his table. I'm going to get more coffee, I said. He intercepted me near the urns. Do you have to tell everybody? He asked. Carol asked. You could say it was a mix-up. It wasn't. It became one. What does that mean? He picked up a cup, though he did not pour anything into it. It means I admitted I made a mistake, and now you're making sure the whole family knows. Vivian told her. Vivian said there was confusion. Perhaps she's protecting your privacy. This is what I mean. He set the empty cup down. Every answer has a knife in it. Then stop asking questions you don't want answered. His face hardened. Behind him, Claire had noticed us. She started to rise, but I shook my head slightly. Adam lowered his voice. I don't want this to become the story of our wedding. It won't. How do you know? Because the wedding was bigger than your worst decision. That stopped him. I took a clean cup and poured coffee. People will remember Claire's dress, I said. They'll remember Mark almost dropping the cake. They'll remember Vivian dancing barefoot. Carol will remember my motel for 10 minutes. Then Pete will do something more interesting. Adam looked toward Uncle Pete, who was trying to fit an entire centerpiece into a tote bag. I added cream to my coffee. You don't need to manage what everyone thinks, I said. That's easy for you to say. No, Adam, it's new for me too. He looked down at the empty cup he still held. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, he said. I know. I wanted you here. I know that too. Then why does everything I say sound wrong to you? Because you keep talking about what you wanted instead of what you did. He stared at me for a moment. Then Claire called his name, and relief passed across his face before he could hide it. I have to go. Go. He did. I left the lodge at noon. Claire walked me to the car. Adam was upstairs settling a disagreement about luggage. Claire did not explain or apologize for his absence. She waited while I placed the cedar box and garment bag in the back seat. Thank you for yesterday, she said. You don't have to keep thanking me for attending your wedding. I'm thanking you for not pretending. I closed the rear door. Adam may not agree. He doesn't. That surprised a laugh out of me. Claire leaned against the car. He thinks anger means the relationship is in danger. Sometimes it does. Is it? I considered giving her a comforting answer. It would have been easy. The relationship we had is, I said. She looked toward the lodge windows. That sounds worse than anger. It may be better. I don't know yet. Claire nodded slowly. Then she hugged me, and this time neither of us hesitated. On the drive home, I stopped twice for coffee and once because my back demanded negotiations. The highway flattened as the mountains receded behind me. My house was dark when I arrived. The dining room still held wedding debris, blue thread, spare ribbon, one unfinished welcome bag, and a seating chart draft Paige had accidentally packed among my supplies. Adam's name appeared in several places where it had been crossed out and rewritten. I carried the cedar box to my bedroom and returned it to the dresser. Then I stood in the kitchen without turning on the light. Usually after a visit, Adam called before I'd finished unpacking. He would ask whether traffic had been bad, whether I had stopped for gas, whether I was tired. We would tell each other the parts of the weekend only we had noticed. My phone remained silent. I made tea and drank it at the dining room table beside the spools of blue thread. At 7, the time of our usual Sunday call, I found myself watching the phone. At 7:15, I put it in a drawer. It rang at 7:20. I stood there listening while Adam's name vibrated against the wood. Then, for the first time I could remember, I let my son leave a message. The drawer amplified the vibration until the silverware beside it rattled. When the ringing stopped, I waited another minute before taking out the phone. Adam's voicemail was 23 seconds. "Hey, Mom, just making sure you got home. We're in Asheville. Claire says hi. Call me when you get this, okay? Love you." He sounded normal. That was the problem with normal. It could be kindness, denial, habit, or all three sharing a coat. I sent a message. "Home safe. Have a wonderful trip. Love you both." The 3 dots appeared almost immediately. "Can you call?" I looked at the blue thread scattered across my dining table. "Tomorrow," I wrote. "I'm tired." He sent a thumbs up. I stared at it longer than the symbol deserved. The following morning, I woke before 6 because my body had not learned that the wedding was over. I stripped the guest room bed even though no one had slept in it, carried the welcome bag supplies into the dining room, and sorted ribbon from tissue paper. There were enough unused materials to decorate another wedding or a very sentimental hardware store. At 9, I called Adam. He answered on the first ring. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." "You didn't sound fine?" "I didn't sound at all." I sent a text. "We always talk when you get home. We had talked quite a lot." There was a pause. In the background, I heard a hotel door close and then Claire's voice asking whether he had seen her sunglasses. "They're on your head," Adam called. "Oh." A moment later, Claire shouted, "Hi, Ruth." "Good morning," I called back. Adam lowered his voice. "Is this how it's going to be? How is it? You know, I really don't. You're going to make me chase you." I sat at the dining table and wound blue ribbon around a piece of cardboard. "You called once." I answered the next morning, after letting it go to voicemail. I was tired. "You put your phone away at 7? He knew me too well. That had once felt like closeness. Now it felt like surveillance conducted with affection. Yes. Why? Because I didn't want to spend Sunday evening talking about the wedding. We wouldn't have had to talk about the room. That's why I didn't answer. He exhaled. I apologized. "You did? What else do you want?" "I don't know yet. You keep saying that. Because it remains true." Claire said something near him. Adam answered. "1 second." Then to me, he said, "We're supposed to be enjoying our honeymoon. It's your practice honeymoon. That's not the point. I'm not stopping you from enjoying it. You called me. I called because you're upset. You've confirmed it. Now go enjoy Asheville." He made an impatient sound. "You can be impossible when you want to be." "So I'm no longer easy?" Silence. I regretted it as soon as I said it. Not because it was untrue, but because I had sharpened it for effect. "I shouldn't have said that," I told him. "No, go ahead. You've been waiting. I'm not collecting lines to use against you. It feels like you are. I'm learning how to answer without first deciding what answer will make you comfortable." He did not speak. Neither did I. Finally, he said, "We're going hiking. That sounds nice. I'll call Sunday. You don't have to." "I know." After we hung up, I sat with the ribbon half wound around my hand. My tea had gone cold. Boundaries sounded clean when Marlene talked about them. She made them seem like property lines marked with bright paint. In practice, mine felt more like I was learning to walk on an injured foot, necessary, awkward, and painful in places that did not appear connected. I threw away the seating chart draft and kept the unused tissue paper. Adam called the next Sunday at 7 on the dot. I answered. He told me about Asheville, a restaurant where Claire ordered something she hated and ate it anyway because it cost $34, and a trail where Adam slipped in mud and ruined one shoe. I laughed in the right places without forcing it. Then he began complaining that Claire had scheduled 3 evenings that week for opening gifts and writing thank you notes. She wants every note personalized, he said. It should be. I know, but she wants me to mention the actual gift. That is the general theory. You sound like her. You should discuss it with her. I am discussing it with you. Why? Because I'm talking to you. No, you're asking me to agree she's being unreasonable. I didn't say that. You said it with adjectives. He went quiet. Before the wedding, I would have sided with him just enough to make him feel understood. Then I would have suggested a compromise he could present to Claire as his own idea. You married her, I said. Write the notes with her. Okay. He sounded wounded. I almost softened it. I almost said Claire could be demanding, that Adam had been exhausted, that thank you notes did not require literature. Instead, I asked, "How's the ruined shoe?" He laughed reluctantly. Still muddy. We finished the call on safer subjects. Our Sundays continued that way. We spoke, but I stopped serving as the hidden room where Adam stored every irritation he did not want to carry into his marriage. He tested the old door often. Claire wanted to combine their bank accounts. Claire did not want to combine their closets. Claire thought the wedding photographs should be organized by event, while Adam preferred them by people. Each time I listened until the conversation tilted toward recruiting me. Tell Claire what you think, I would say. I did. Then let her answer. You used to give advice. You used to be single. I wasn't single for 4 years. You weren't married. He hated that distinction. I could hear it in the way he said good night. Claire began contacting me directly. At first, her messages were practical. Did I have Susan's mailing address? Was the silver serving bowl from Aunt Carol or Uncle Pete's first wife? Did I know which cousin sent the towels? I answered what I knew and said so when I did not. Then she sent a wedding photograph. Adam and I stood on the terrace, his arm around my waist, my hand against his lapel. We were looking at each other. The picture had been taken just before I fastened his cufflink. His face was open and uncertain. Mine looked tender, sad, and older than I felt. Thought you should have this one, Claire wrote. I saved it. Thank you, I replied. A minute later, another message arrived. He loves you. He's just terrible at being wrong. I typed 3 different answers. I know. That doesn't excuse him. So are you. I deleted all of them and wrote, those facts can live together. Claire responded with a heart then. I'm learning that. By August, the unused blue ribbon had migrated to a closet shelf. My wedding dress returned from the cleaner in a plastic bag. The motel charge appeared on my credit card statement between gasoline and a $12 lunch at Peggy's. I paid it from the Savannah account. Marlene came over the next Saturday carrying sandwiches and a new brochure. This one has coupons, she announced. We are not choosing a hotel based on a coupon. You chose the last one based on ceiling stability. That was an emergency. Savannah is also an emergency. I haven't eaten proper shrimp and grits in 4 years. We sat at my kitchen table with calculators, which was ridiculous because neither of us intended to obey a budget once we smelled butter. I can replace the money by March, I said. We wanted to go in April. I know, so stop looking like somebody canceled Christmas. I don't like using savings for something preventable. Then send Adam an invoice. I'm not doing that, I know. I wanted to see your face. I threw a coupon at her. Marlene picked it up and smoothed it carefully. How are things with him? Polite. That bad? He calls. I answer. And he keeps waiting for me to become the person I was. Are you waiting too? I looked out the kitchen window. Frank's old bird feeder hung empty because I had forgotten to buy seed. I miss her sometimes, I admitted. Of course you do. She knew exactly how to keep everybody happy. She was good at it. She was exhausted. She didn't know she was exhausted. That's the most efficient kind. Marlene left after making me promise not to reduce the Savannah food budget. I drove to the garden store for birdseed, came home, and filled the feeder before dark. 2 weeks later, Adam and Claire came for lunch. It was their first visit since the wedding. I made chicken salad, sliced tomatoes, and bought rolls from the bakery Adam liked. He arrived carrying a framed photograph of our dance. Claire brought tulips. I promised not to touch the refrigerator, she said as she handed them to me. I've installed an alarm. Adam hung the photograph in the hallway after asking where I wanted it. That was new. Usually, he arrived with a hammer and an opinion. We ate at the kitchen table. Conversation moved easily until Claire went to the car for a box of photographs. Adam watched the door close behind her. "You two text a lot," he said. "Sometimes." "What about? Wedding things? Susan's address? Towels? Anything else?" I set down my fork. "Are you asking whether we discuss you?" He smiled without humor. "Do you?" "Sometimes." "That's great. She's my daughter-in-law. I know who she is. She speaks to me directly." His face changed. I had not intended the sentence as an accusation, but it landed as one. "You really think I'm some kind of liar now," he said. "I think you lie when the truth makes you uncomfortable. Everyone does that. Not everyone strands their mother 52 minutes from their wedding." He pushed back from the table. Claire returned, carrying the box, and stopped in the doorway. "What happened?" "Nothing," Adam said. Then he looked at me and corrected himself. "We're arguing." Claire placed the box on the counter. The correction was small. It cost him something. I saw that. "Do you want me to go outside?" she asked. "No," I said. "Yes," Adam said at the same time. Claire looked between us. "Excellent. Marriage has prepared me for this." She sat down. We opened the photographs together. For an hour, we sorted ceremony from reception and family from friends. Adam asked which picture of Frank's cufflinks I preferred. Claire asked whether I wanted copies for Marlene. No one mentioned the motel again. When they left, Adam hugged me at the door. "Thanksgiving here, right?" he said. I thought I had misheard him. "What?" "Claire's parents are coordinating schedules. Vivian can do Thursday if Richard and Susan come Friday, but that seems ridiculous. So we thought everyone could come here Thursday, like usual." Claire's expression told me this was not a conversation they had finished. "How many people?" I asked. "Maybe 12. "And when were you planning to ask me?" He smiled cautiously. "I'm asking now." "No," I said. His smile remained for a second after the word reached him. Then it disappeared. "No?" Adam repeated. "No. You mean you don't want Claire's parents here?" "I mean, I'm not hosting Thanksgiving for 12 people. He looked at my dining room as though checking whether it had shrunk since lunch. "You always host Thanksgiving." "I have hosted Thanksgiving." "That is not the same thing." Claire leaned against the porch rail, the box of photographs tucked beneath one arm. "I told him we should talk to you before including your house." "I am talking to her," Adam said. "You announced a plan and added a question mark." He gave his new wife a wounded look. She shrugged. "That's what you did." I almost smiled. Adam turned back to me. "We'd help." "With what?" "Everything. Shopping, cooking, cleanup." "Where would Vivian sit?" "At the table." "Beside Richard?" "No." "Beside Susan?" "Obviously not." "Who sleeps here?" "Nobody has to sleep here." "Then who drives Vivian home after wine? She can stay." "In the guest room Richard usually uses?" He rubbed his forehead. "We haven't figured out every detail. You haven't figured out any detail. You volunteered my house." It was an idea. It was an address. The framed photograph he had just given me hung in the hallway behind him. In it, we were smiling during our dance, his hand at my waist, my pale blue dress bright beneath the reception lights. A stranger would have thought there was no distance between us. "Is this because of the wedding?" he asked. "It's because I don't want to host." That's not an answer. It's a complete sentence. You love Thanksgiving. I love eating it. Claire lowered the box onto the porch chair. "We can host." Adam turned. "Our table seats 6. My mother considers eating on a sofa a moral failure. I'd enjoy testing it. This is ridiculous. Mom's house has space. So does a banquet hall," I said. "You haven't asked one of those either." His face hardened. "Fine." He kissed my cheek with the precision of a receipt stamp and walked to the car. Claire remained on the porch. "You don't have to explain," she said. "Good. But are you coming if we host? If you invite me?" "You're invited, then I'll come." Her shoulders relaxed. "What should I bring?" I asked. She glanced toward Adam, who sat behind the wheel looking straight ahead. I'm not ready to answer that, she said. That's fine. We have months. She hugged me, picked up the photographs, and joined him. Adam did not wave when they drove away. For 11 years, Thanksgiving had been mine. Even before Frank died, I planned the menu, assigned chairs, and started saving bread for dressing 3 weeks early. Adam carved the turkey after Frank's hands became unsteady. The first year without him, none of us mentioned the empty chair until Adam accidentally set a glass of iced tea in front of it. I did love Thanksgiving. I loved the smell of celery and onions in butter. I loved bringing out the china we used once a year, despite the fact that 2 dinner plates had gold edges faded from the dishwasher. I loved leftovers arranged in mismatched containers and the quiet after everyone left. I did not love being informed that 12 people were coming to my house. For 2 Sundays, Adam did not call. I did not call him. That distinction felt important until the second Sunday at 7:15, when my house was so quiet I could hear the ice maker drop 3 cubes. Marlene called at 7:20. "You sound disappointed," she said. I said hello. You said it like I was the wrong lottery number. I took my tea to the living room. Adam's angry. About what now? Thanksgiving. What did you do to Thanksgiving? Declined it. All of it? Hosting. Oh, she paused. Good. You don't even know the details. I know you've cooked every Thanksgiving since Reagan. That is not true. Close enough. I like cooking. You also like complaining that nobody puts serving spoons in the right dishes. They don't. Where are you going instead? Adam and Claire may host. May? Their table seats 6. People can stand. It improves digestion. I smiled. You should come. Was I invited? Not yet. Then, unlike some members of this family, I will wait. The campaign began 3 days later. Vivian called first. I understand there has been a change of venue, she said. There was never a venue. Adam indicated your home was available. Adam was mistaken. I told Claire we could order the meal. You would not need to cook. Thank you, but I'm not hosting. Is there a problem with the house? No. With me? No. With Richard? I don't know Richard well enough to have a problem. Vivian sighed. Then I confess I'm confused. I don't want 12 people in my house for Thanksgiving. The silence suggested I had announced an aversion to oxygen. Very well, she said. Directness is useful. Yes, I wish Adam had tried it before the wedding. So do I. That ended the campaign from Vivian. Richard called the following week and offered to rent folding chairs. Uncle Pete's second wife sent me a message saying everyone could bring a dish. Carol added that Pete's first wife would not attend if seating was limited, as though this were an incentive package. I answered each person the same way. Claire finally sent a group email. Thanksgiving will be at our place. We have chairs, floors, and no assigned seating. Please reply with 1 dish you can bring. If you reply with 2, I will select the easier one. I laughed aloud. I chose 2 pies. Adam called that night. So you're really making us do this. You're 38 years old. What does that mean? It means hosting Thanksgiving is not a military draft. Our kitchen is tiny. You have an oven. 1 oven. So do I. You know what I mean? Yes. You expected me to solve it. He exhaled into the phone. You're proving a point. I'm declining work. It's 1 day with family. It is 4 days of planning, 2 days of cooking, 1 day of hosting, and another day locating gravy in places gravy should never be. Then we would have helped. You can help at your house. Claire thinks this is good for us. Perhaps it is. I think she likes when you tell me no. Then you should ask her why. That's what you always say now. It's because you keep bringing me conversations that belong in your marriage. He went quiet. I miss talking to you, he said. The admission softened something in me. I miss you too. Then why are you making it so hard? I'm trying to make it honest. He did not answer. The week before Thanksgiving, Claire sent a photograph of their living room. Their dining table had been turned diagonally and extended with a folding table borrowed from Mark. 12 mismatched chairs surrounded it. Will this kill my mother? She wrote. Only if she knows the folding table came from Mark. Too late, Adam told her. I stared at the message. Of course he did. Thanksgiving morning, I baked apple and pumpkin pies. I did not roast a turkey, make dressing, peel potatoes, or polish silver. At 10, I took a shower. The freedom was almost offensive. I arrived at Adam and Claire's house at noon, carrying the pies and a container of whipped cream. Marlene followed me up the walk with 2 bottles of wine. Was I invited? She whispered. Claire invited you Monday. I wanted the record clear. Inside, Adam wore an apron dusted with flour. His hair stood up on one side, and a red streak of heat crossed his face. You're late, he said. It's 12:03. Vivian came at 11:15. That was her decision. Vivian sat in the living room arranging crackers by size. Richard and Susan had brought a spinach casserole. Uncle Pete arrived with both wives because his first wife had decided seating limitations were not going to intimidate her. Carol carried rolls. Pete carried nothing and announced he had brought conversation. Claire kissed my cheek and took the pies. The turkey is behind schedule, she murmured. How far behind? We don't speak of it. Good policy. At 1:30, the turkey was still pink at the thigh. Adam stood over it with a thermometer as though attempting to negotiate. I turned up the oven, he said. That will cook the outside faster, I told him. He looked at me expectantly. I took a sip of wine. What should I do? He asked. The direct question mattered. Cover the breast with foil and put it back in. Move the casserole to the lower rack. He did exactly that. Claire mashed potatoes while Vivian criticized the quantity of salt from the living room. Richard opened another bottle of wine. Susan washed pans without announcing it. Marlene sat on the counter and told a story about a neighbor who accidentally joined an online group for ferret owners. Dinner began at 2:47. No one died. Vivian sat on the sofa with her plate balanced on a tray table. Richard took the folding chair. Susan sat beside him and stole his roll. The turkey was slightly dry. The gravy had lumps. The potatoes were excellent. Adam lifted his glass. Thank you all for being here, he said, and thank you to everybody who helped us pull this off. His eyes found mine. For a moment, I thought he would add something pointed. Instead, he said, especially Claire, who did more than I realized. Claire looked at him with surprise. That sounds familiar, Marlene murmured beside me. I nudged her foot beneath the table. After dinner, people scattered through the house. Vivian supervised leftovers. Pete fell asleep in an armchair while both wives discussed him at normal volume. I carried plates toward the kitchen. Adam blocked the doorway. You can leave those, he said. I'm helping. Now you're helping. I stopped. What does that mean? You watched us struggle all day. You asked me about the turkey. I answered. You knew everything that needed doing, I usually do, and you sat there. I was a guest. He laughed without humor. You made your point. Not rescuing you is not the same as punishing you. You keep saying things like that, but everything feels like punishment, because you were counting on me. Yes, he snapped. I count on my mother. Apparently, that's some terrible character flaw now. Claire appeared behind him. Adam. No, I want to understand. How long am I supposed to apologize? How many holidays does the room cost? The kitchen went quiet behind us. I set the plates on the counter. This is not about what you owe me, I said. It's about what you thought I owed you. His face changed, but anger returned before anything else could settle. I can't do this. He walked past me and out the back door. Claire closed her eyes. I'm sorry, I said. She looked toward the dark window above the sink. He does that with me too, she said. What? Makes needing him sound like love. Makes him needing me sound like an obligation. I did not know what to say. She wiped her hands on a dish towel. Could I come see you next week? She asked. Of course. Without Adam. I looked at the back door through which my son had disappeared. Yes, I said. Without Adam. Marlene waited until we were halfway home before saying, I like Claire. You've met her 9 times. I disliked her twice. We're progressing. I kept my eyes on the road. She shouldn't be discussing her marriage with me. She asked to visit, not move into your guest room. It puts me in the middle. You've spent months getting out of the middle. Stay out. That sounds simple. It isn't. That's why I said it slowly. I glanced at her. She adjusted the heat vent away from her face. Listen to her. Don't become her witness for the prosecution, and don't call Adam afterward to smooth anything over. I wasn't planning to. You're already planning the words. I was. I had been composing a message since Claire asked to visit. Something neutral that would let Adam know she was coming, assure him we were not forming an alliance, and somehow prevent a conflict before it existed. I left the phone in my purse. Claire arrived the following Saturday carrying 2 cardboard cups and a paper bag. No tulips, she said when I opened the door. I thought they were becoming a nervous habit. What's in the bag? Cinnamon rolls. That could also become a habit. I'm willing to risk it. She wore jeans, boots, and a green sweater. Without wedding makeup, a clipboard, or a holiday to manage, she looked younger and more tired. She set the coffee on the kitchen table and glanced toward the hallway. Is Adam here? I almost laughed. Why would Adam be here? I don't know. I had a fear that he'd somehow sense me crossing the county line. He isn't a weather system. He behaves like one when he's anxious. We sat. For a while, we discussed harmless things. The drive, the cold, a bakery near her office that charged $6 for a cookie. Claire tore her cinnamon roll into increasingly small pieces without eating them. Finally, she said, I'm not here to complain about my husband. Good. I may say things that sound like complaints. Then I won't grade them. She smiled faintly. I want to tell you what happened with the room, she said. I know what happened. You know what Adam told you. I put down my coffee. Claire folded the paper bag along its creases. When we signed the lodge contract, we had 18 rooms in the block. 1 was for you. We never put anyone's name on them because the lodge wanted the final list later. So there was supposed to be a room, yes, in the beginning. That was not quite the same as a reservation, but it was closer than Adam had admitted. Then my parents started changing things, she continued. Dad assumed Susan was included. Mom assumed Susan wasn't coming. Uncle Pete needed a room because he was giving a toast, though I'm still not sure why those facts were related. Paige added 2 nights. Mark couldn't afford the lodge by himself. Every change became an argument, and Adam volunteered me. Not at first. He said you might prefer the farmhouse because it was quieter. I asked whether he had talked to you. He said yes. The paper bag had become a narrow rectangle beneath her hands. A month before the wedding, I saw that the farmhouse started Friday, she said. I asked where you were staying Thursday. What did he say? That you might arrive Friday. I had told him Thursday. I know that now. So you believed him again? No. She looked at me. I decided he would handle it. The distinction was honest enough to hurt. I knew something wasn't settled, she said. I had 50 other things to do, and you were the one person not calling with demands. So I let you remain his problem. I wasn't a problem, I know. Do you? Her eyes filled, but she did not look away. You were the available sacrifice. The phrase was ugly. It was also accurate. I'm sorry, she said. Not that it happened, not that you were upset. I'm sorry I accepted a plan that treated you as less important because I thought you would forgive us. I took a breath. Thank you. I'm not asking you to absolve me. That's fortunate. I'm not prepared to. She nodded. We drank our coffee. The kitchen clock ticked with unreasonable volume. Outside, a cardinal landed on Frank's feeder and threw seed onto the patio with the concentration of a vandal. Does Adam know you came? I asked. Yes. What did he say? He said you would tell me he's manipulative. I've never called him manipulative. I know, I told him that. What do you call it? Avoidance with collateral damage. That's very organized. I make lists when I'm angry. So I've heard. Claire ate a piece of cinnamon roll at last. He thinks you and I are siding against him, she said. We shouldn't. We aren't. You just came to tell me something he omitted. I came because I helped create the omission. I considered that. I also don't want him speaking for us anymore, she added. He told me you blamed me for the motel. I did blame you. Not entirely. He said you understood I had nothing to do with it. That isn't what I said. Her mouth tightened. Exactly. There it was again. Adam moving the furniture between two rooms and insisting neither woman notice the scratches. I did this too, I said. Claire frowned. Booked your own mother at a motel? I made his life smooth enough that he confused smoothness with love. That doesn't make this your fault. No. But it helps explain why he was so certain. I told her about the first Thanksgiving after he married his college girlfriend in everything but paperwork. He had promised to divide the holiday evenly, arrived 4 hours late, and asked me to tell Marlene traffic was bad. I did. Traffic had been fine. He simply could not leave the other dinner. I told her about the year he agreed to help Frank clear the garage, then accepted a last-minute invitation to a football game. I told Frank Adam had warned me earlier. He had not. I kept translating his choices into kinder language, I said. I thought I was protecting our relationship. You were protecting him from consequences. Yes. Claire stared at the paper bag. I do that. Then stop. She looked up, startled. You didn't drive here for gentle advice, I said. I didn't drive here for advice at all. Even better. She laughed, and then I did. The laughter did not make us friends in the miraculous way women become friends in stories when a disappointing man stands between them. Claire was still demanding. I was still wary. She thought my coffee was too weak and asked whether I owned a milk frother. I thought $6 cookies were evidence of societal decline. But when she left, we understood each other without Adam's translation. At the door, she said, He loves you, I know. He's furious. I know that too. He'll come around. That part is his. She nodded. I'm learning that. Christmas Eve was held at their house. Claire invited me herself with a time, a menu, and the sentence, Please tell me if you'd rather not come. I went. The folding table had returned to Mark, and there were only 6 of us. Adam and Claire, Vivian, Richard, Susan, and me. This required Vivian and Richard to occupy the same room for 4 hours, which Claire called her gift to herself. Adam greeted me with a hug. It lasted the correct length and communicated nothing I could rely on. He had cooked a roast. Claire made potatoes. Susan brought green beans. Vivian brought wine and the conviction that it was better than everyone else's wine. No one asked me to solve anything. When the roast was underdone, Adam put it back in the oven without looking at me. When Vivian complained about the delay, Claire handed her crackers. Dinner was good. Conversation was careful. Afterward, we exchanged gifts in the living room. Adam gave me a leather travel journal embossed with my initials. Inside the front cover, he had tucked a printed list of restaurants in Savannah. Marlene helped, he said. She betrayed me. She provided dietary intelligence. I ran my fingers over the initials. It's beautiful. I thought you could use it in April. We haven't booked yet. He nodded. I know. That mattered. He had not booked it for us. He had not offered to pay. He had listened and chosen something that belonged to a plan I was making myself. I hugged him. For a second, his arms tightened. Then Vivian announced that somebody had misplaced her scarf, and the moment closed. Winter settled into routines that were neither old nor new. Adam called most Sundays. Sometimes I answered. Sometimes I called him Monday. He stopped complaining about Claire to me, though the absence left conversational holes we had to learn to fill. We discussed his work, my plans with Marlene, books neither of us finished, and the bird feeder's escalating war with squirrels. Claire sent messages without using him as a messenger. Can you come for dinner Saturday? Does 6 work? Would you rather have chicken or pasta? The questions were ordinary. Their ordinariness was the point. In February, the wedding album arrived at my house. The cover was gray linen, and the pages smelled faintly of glue. Claire had marked 3 photographs with slips of paper. The first showed Adam fastening Frank's cufflinks. The second showed Claire holding my hand during the group picture. The third was our dance. I studied that one longest. Adam and I looked loving. We also looked guarded. The camera had captured his hand at my waist and my fingers resting lightly against his shoulder, as if both of us knew the next movement required permission. I called to thank them. Claire answered. Adam was cooking, she said, then shouted for him anyway. Do you like it? He asked. I do. Claire picked the picture from the dance. I picked it too, she called in the background. I know, he said. That's what I meant. I smiled. Mom, he began. Then a timer sounded. Hold on. He put down the phone. I heard oven doors, a pan clattering, Claire laughing, and Adam swearing because he had forgotten a pot holder. When he returned, the moment had gone. By March, I had replaced the motel money. Marlene and I booked Savannah for the second week of April. I sent Adam the dates because I wanted him to know, not because he had asked. Have a great time, he wrote. Send food pictures. On the Sunday before we left, 7 o'clock passed without a call. At 7:30, I made tea. At 8, headlights swept across the front windows. Adam's car stopped at the curb. I watched him sit behind the wheel for nearly a minute before he got out. He wore jeans and the brown jacket Frank had given him years earlier. He carried nothing. No flowers, no takeout, no framed photograph, no household problem requiring my tools. When I opened the door, he looked almost surprised to see me. Is Claire all right? I asked. Yes. Are you? I don't know. The old answer would have brought him inside before I asked anything else. This time, I waited. Adam put his hands in his jacket pockets. Can I come in? Yes. He followed me to the kitchen but did not sit. I poured him tea. He held the cup between both hands without drinking. I've been trying to figure out what to say, he began. I sat across from him. For 9 months, I asked. His mouth twitched, but he did not smile. No. For most of my life, probably. The kitchen clock ticked. Adam looked down at the tea, then back at me. I didn't forget your room, he said. I need you to know that. I know. No. He shook his head. You know I lied. You don't know everything I told myself before I did it. I folded my hands on the table. All right, I said. For once, my son did not ask me to make what came next easier. And for once, I did not. Adam rubbed his thumb along the rim of the cup. When the lodge sent the final room list, your name was on it, he said. Not a reservation yet, but a room assigned to you. I waited. Then Claire's dad said Susan needed to be added. Vivian refused to share the suite with the makeup people after Thursday. Mark couldn't afford a room alone, and Paige kept changing dates. We were over the block. You removed my name. Yes. The answer came without padding. I told myself the farmhouse was just as good. I didn't check it because if I checked, then I'd have to know whether that was true. He looked at me. It wasn't true. No. I was going to call you. Every day I thought I'd call after work or after we solved the next problem. Then you asked about the reservation and I said it was handled 3 times. The kitchen clock ticked above the refrigerator. Adam took off Frank's brown jacket and folded it over the back of the chair. When Claire asked whether you knew about the farmhouse, I said you'd requested it. When she asked why, I told her the lodge reminded you of Dad and you wanted somewhere quieter. My fingers tightened together. That was cruel. I know. You used my grief because nobody could argue with it. I know. He did not tell me he had been under pressure. He did not say he had meant well. The absence of those defenses gave each word room to land. On Thursday, he continued, when you were at the front desk, I saw the clerk looking at me. I knew exactly what I'd done. But instead of admitting it, I made it sound like you hadn't understood. Yes. I embarrassed you so I wouldn't be embarrassed. My throat tightened. He stared into his tea. Then I asked you to unload the boxes. Yes. I don't know how I did that. You knew the welcome bags needed to be upstairs. That isn't what I mean. I know. He pressed both palms against the table. When I said you were easy, I meant you were safe. But I've been thinking about it, and that's worse. I did not rescue him from the sentence. I knew Vivian would threaten to leave, he said. Richard would avoid the question. Claire would cry and then argue until I answered. Mark would give up his room but create another problem. You were the person I could disappoint without losing, the available sacrifice. His head lifted. Claire used that phrase, I said. She told me. How much did she tell you about our conversation? Enough. Not everything. That's probably healthy. He nodded. I was angry that she came here, he said. Then I realized I was angry because you two compared what I had told you. I couldn't control the story anymore. There was shame in his face now, not the bright, defensive shame from the lodge lobby. This was quieter. It did not demand that I remove it. Thanksgiving made it worse, he said. I thought you were punishing me. Claire kept saying you were just not doing the work I'd assigned you without asking. She was right. I know. You said that a lot tonight. I have a lot to know. That almost made me smile. Almost. He finally drank the tea. It had to be cold by then, but he did not complain. I've been waiting for you to go back to normal, he said. Every Sunday call, every dinner, every time you said no, I thought you were making me pay. I kept asking how long the punishment would last. And now I think normal was you paying in advance. I looked away. The bird feeder was a dark shape beyond the kitchen window. Frank used to fill it every Saturday, even when rain turned the seed into paste and squirrels hung upside down from the roof. I did that willingly, I said. I know. No, Adam. This part is mine. He sat back. I told lies for you, too, I said. Not large ones. Kinder versions. You forgot, and I said you were busy. You canceled, and I said plans changed. You arrived late, and I blamed traffic. I taught you that if you avoided something long enough, I would translate it into something forgivable. That doesn't make the room your fault. No. Claire said the same thing. She's smart when she isn't rearranging refrigerators. He smiled briefly. I don't want you taking responsibility for what I did, he said. I'm taking responsibility for what I do next. His smile disappeared. What happens next? I don't know exactly. He looked frightened, but he did not ask me to reassure him. I love you, I said. I want a relationship with you, but I don't want the old one back. He nodded slowly. I can't be the person you volunteer without asking. I can't be where you bring complaints about Claire so I can make you feel right. I can't keep accepting the worst arrangement because you assume I will understand. Okay? And when I say no, you don't get to call it punishment. Okay, you don't get to tell other people what I feel because the truth is inconvenient. Okay, and if you hurt me, you cannot demand I forgive you on your schedule. His eyes glistened. Okay. I studied him. You agree very quickly. I've argued with all of it already, just not with you. That surprised me. I've been having the same fight in my head for 9 months, he said. Sometimes I win. Then I realized that's not how it works. A laugh escaped me. He smiled, then wiped one eye with the heel of his hand. I'm sorry, he said. I didn't forget your room. I removed it. I lied to you, lied to Claire, and then made you look confused because I didn't want anybody to know. I used the fact that you love me as permission to put you last. The apology had no exits. I felt the place inside me that had been waiting for those words. It did not close. Wounds are not obedient merely because somebody finally names the weapon, but something around it loosened. Thank you, I said. Do you forgive me? Not all at once. He nodded. I'm willing to start, I added. His face folded. He looked down, took one rough breath, then another. I stood and came around the table. When I put my arms around him, he held me the way he had at the wedding, hard, almost desperate. This time, there was no ballroom watching and no song ending beneath us. I love you, he said against my shoulder. I love you too. We stayed that way until my back objected. Sit down, I said. You're taller than grief should be. He laughed and released me. I warmed our tea. We talked until almost 11, though not only about the wedding. He told me he and Claire had begun setting aside one evening a week to discuss whatever they had been avoiding. Claire had named it the unpleasant meeting. Adam called it Tuesday. He admitted he still wanted to cancel it every week. Do you? No. Good. He asked about Savannah. I showed him the restaurant list he had printed and told him Marlene had rejected 3 places because their shrimp and grits included tomatoes. She says tomatoes indicate cowardice, I explained. Is she right? I don't know. I'm afraid to ask. When he stood to leave, he carried his cup to the sink. At the door, he put on Frank's jacket. Call when you get back? He asked. Yes, and send food pictures. I'll consider it. He accepted that. Savannah was warm, green, and expensive in exactly the ways Marlene had predicted. We stayed at a small hotel with unreliable elevators and excellent sheets. We walked until our feet hurt, argued about ghost tours, and ate enough butter to require spiritual reflection. Adam did not call every day. He sent one message after we arrived. Hope the room is good. I sent a photograph of the bed, booked and everything. He replied with a grimacing face. Then, I earned that. Marlene looked over my shoulder. He did. I know. Tell him I said so. I'm not using you as a messenger. You're becoming tiresome. When I returned home, Adam called Sunday at 7. He asked about the trip and listened to the answer. He did not complain about Claire. He did not ask whether we were finally okay. Repair arrived through smaller doors than apology. In May, he called and asked whether I was free to help him choose a gift for Claire's birthday. What do you have in mind? I asked. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Do you want advice or do you want me to choose? He paused. Advice. I gave him 3 ideas and refused to rank them. He chose one himself. In June, Aunt Carol mentioned at a cookout that Thanksgiving had been moved from Ruth's because she wasn't up to it. Before I could answer, Adam corrected her. Mom was up to it, he said. I volunteered her house without asking. She said no. Carol looked at him, then at me. Oh. There was no speech, no public confession, no roomful of people applauding his honesty. Uncle Pete asked whether anyone wanted more potato salad, and the conversation moved on. I saw the effort it cost Adam not to check my face for approval. I gave it to him later, privately. That mattered, I said while we carried empty bowls into the kitchen. I should have corrected it months ago. Yes. He smiled. You could say thank you first. I could. You're enjoying this. A little. By August, Sunday calls no longer felt like tests. Sometimes Adam missed one and called Monday without inventing a reason. Sometimes I let the phone ring because I was reading, then called back when I finished the chapter. He learned that delayed contact was not abandonment. I learned that saying yes after several honest no's did not make the yes a surrender. Claire and I never became women who spoke every morning or shopped together for pleasure. We became something better suited to us, direct. She called when she wanted my company. I answered without wondering what Adam had told her first. When she was angry with him, she said, I'm angry with Adam, but I'm not asking you to agree. When I thought she was being demanding, I told her. Sometimes she agreed. Usually she requested examples. Late that summer, Adam called on a Wednesday. Claire wants to see a play in Richmond, he said. The one you mentioned. I mentioned 3. The one with the woman who poisons her husband. That narrows it to 2. He laughed. We want you to come for the weekend, either the 14th or the 21st. The 14th is Marlene's birthday. Then the 21st? I checked my calendar. That works. Would you rather stay with us or at the hotel near the theater? The hotel. King or 2 queens? King. Near the elevator or away from it? Away. How many questions are there? 1 more. Do you want dinner before the play or after? Before. I can't eat steak at 10 o'clock anymore. I'll send the details. 10 minutes later, an email arrived with a reservation in my name, the confirmation number, check-in time, parking instructions, and the hotel's cancellation policy. I forwarded it to myself once. On the 21st, I drove to Richmond with the gray travel journal in my purse. The hotel lobby was crowded with guests attending a medical conference, though no one appeared to be carrying a model jaw. At the front desk, I gave the clerk my name. She typed. For a second, the old lobby rose around me, rain on stone windows, Hazards blinking, my son telling me I had misunderstood. Then the clerk smiled. "Yes, Mrs. Mercer. We have you in a king room on the 7th floor, away from the elevators. 2 nights." Adam and Claire stood behind me with no boxes, garment bags, or tasks. "Is that correct?" the clerk asked. I looked at my son. He did not answer for me. "Yes," I said. "That's exactly what I booked." She handed me the key. Adam lifted my suitcase from beside my feet. "Do you want to rest before dinner? I want to see the room." "Of course." Claire linked her arm through mine, and the 3 of us walked toward the elevators. No one needed me to carry anything. No one was waiting for me to make a difficult arrangement disappear. Dinner would happen whether I hurried or not. Upstairs, I unlocked the door myself. The curtains were open. Afternoon light lay across a neatly made bed. My suitcase fit on the stand, and there was empty space in the closet. Adam waited in the hallway until I stepped inside. For once, my place in his life had not been left to my flexibility. It had been prepared before I arrived.